Konoha Uchiha, I get stronger by causing trouble. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 76 Konoha F4 all appear. The next day, in the Hokage's office. Breaking into the Hokage building and stealing the Book of Seals without permission, Uzumaki Kushina has gone too far this time. Uchiha Koharu, one of the Hokage's advisors, said seriously with narrowed eyes. Another advisor, Mitokado N, also echoed, "Indeed, this is the result of your indulgence, Sarutobi. I didn't expect Kushina to do such a thing, but fortunately it didn't cause too bad an impact. Moreover, Kushina herself has the qualifications to view the Book of Seals. After all, many of the forbidden techniques on it come from the Uzumaki clan." Sarutobi Hiruzen also responded with a headache. Although he arrived in time that night, the news that Kushina stole the Book of Seals still spread. In order to avoid the impact from expanding, Sarutobi Hiruzen could only detain Kushina first. As for Chiga, who watched the sealing technique, he was not detained, but he is currently imprisoned at home and is not allowed to go out, waiting for the result of the treatment. Sarutobi, this is not a question of whether or not it has caused a bad influence, nor is it a question of whether Uzumaki Kushina is qualified to view the Book of Seals. It's that Uzumaki Kushina wants to bypass the patrols of the Konoha Guard in the Anbu defense of the Hokage building. It's obvious that she came prepared. This is the key to the problem. This time it's stealing the Book of Seals. What about next time? Launching a coup? Don't make it so serious. If Kushina has the brains to launch a coup, I can't wait to be happy. Sarutobi Hiruzen and the two Hokage's advisors, Uchiha Koharu and Mitokado N, had a heated discussion about Kushina's theft of the Book of Seals last night. The two advisors were unanimous about Kushina's punishment, that is, severe punishment. However, although Sarutobi Hiruzen was annoyed by Kushina's behavior, he still said, "I understand, then let Kushina be confined for 6 months, and no one needs to visit during this period. Isn't this too light?" The two advisors were almost worn out by talking, and they didn't expect Sarutobi Hiruzen to punish Uzumaki Kushina so lightly. They knew that Sarutobi Hiruzen was tolerant of the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, but was this tolerance too much? No need to say more. I have already decided on the punishment for Kushina. It is in the name of the third Hokage. Seeing that the two wanted to say more, Sarutobi Hiruzen said immediately. Upon hearing this, Uchiha Koharu and Mitokado Kumura's faces darkened. The Hokage is a Hokage after all, and the advisor is just an advisor. They only have the power to discuss and make suggestions, but not the power to make decisions. And this is exactly the main reason why they want to force Sarutobi Hiruzen to severely punish Uzumaki Kushina today. Even if the advisor only has the power to discuss and make suggestions, they want their power to influence the decision made by Sarutobi Hiruzen, and even let Sarutobi Hiruzen make the decision completely according to their wishes. Danzō, don't you have anything to say today? At this time, Uchiha Koharu noticed that Shimura Danzō had not expressed his opinion, and his face suddenly became surprised. If it were usual, Shimura Danzō would have opened his mouth to criticize Sarutobi Hiruzen. She and Kadakumura only had to agree with a few words. But she didn't expect that from the time he came in to the time he discussed the results. Shimura Danzō didn't say a word. She was just saying, why did she take the lead in the charge today? But she also knew that, if Shimura Danzō spoke, he would definitely say something like the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki needed to be handed over to the root for control. Although the two of them would stop this, it would at least put pressure on Sarutobi Hiruzen, so that he would not let Uzumaki Kushina off so easily. Seeing that the attention of the three people was on him, Shimura Danzō said in a deep voice, "Well, Sarutobi, I won't comment on how you deal with Uzumaki Kushina, but what about her disciple Uchiha? He has read the Book of Seals." Hearing this, the two consultants also reacted, and their eyes suddenly lit up. A new round of power struggle began again. "Yes, what's the matter with her disciple Uchiha? Didn't you Sarutobi say that you made Uchiha her disciple in order to make Uzumaki Kushina more stable?" but I didn't expect that Uzumaki Kushina would make such a fuss for her disciple after just a few days of being quiet. And was it Uchiha Chiga who instigated Uzumaki Kushina to steal the Book of Sales? This issue must be investigated thoroughly. I knew that the people of the Uchiha clan have impure thoughts, even a 7-year-old child. Sarutobi Hiruzen's scalp numbed at the questioning. He pressed his palms to calm the two of them down, and then said, "We have already investigated Uchiha Chiga. Stealing the Book of Sales was entirely Kushina's own decision, and had nothing to do with others. As for the fact that Uchiha Chiga read the Book of Sales, I have also investigated it. He only read the content of the Flying Thunder God technique, and he has already applied to me to exchange for this forbidden technique. In that case, just consider that he exchanged the merits of an S-level mission for this forbidden technique." Shimura Danzō questioned, "Can you guarantee that he only watched the Flying Thunder God technique?" Sarutobi Hiruzen was speechless, but still insisted, "With Chiga's growth rate, he will be able to exchange for the ninjutsu in the sealed book sooner or later." Shimura Danzō then said, "No matter what, the contents of the sealed book cannot be viewed privately without consent." "What do you mean?" Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned and looked at Shimura Danzō after hearing this. "Memory seal. It just so happens that I have a ninja in the route who is good at this kind of ninjutsu. Bring him to the route and check if he has watched other forbidden techniques while performing memory seals." "No, you have no right to do that." Sarutobi Hiruzen stood up suddenly and said sternly, "Letting Uchiha Chiga enter the route is not a memory seal at all. He may not be able to come back once he goes, and the people of the Uchiha clan will never let others explore the brains of their clansmen. This matter has touched the bottom line." In response to Sarutobi Hiruzen's intense reaction, Shimura Danzō said calmly, "I have sent people to do it. Ryoma and the other 4 should have arrived at Uchiha Chiga's house." A hint of victory flashed in his eyes. Shimura Danzō did not believe a word of Sarutobi Hiruzen's previous statement that the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki stole the Book of Seals privately. And to make the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki do such a thing, it seems that Uchiha Chiga has a very important position in the heart of the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. Shimura Danzō had missed the opportunity to control Namake's Minato, and Jiraiya got there first. And Jiraiya is a legitimate Hokage, and a disciple of Sarutobi Hiruzen. Now we must not miss Uchiha Chiga again. The Nine-Tails Jinchuriki can only be played to the greatest extent by me. Chapter 77. Battle with the Roots. At Kyan's house, Yayu stood on the windowsill, watching Kyan writing quickly on a blank scroll. It couldn't understand the content, but seeing Kyan's serious expression, it knew that the content of the writing was extremely important. So it didn't go up to Kyan to show its closeness, but just watched Kyan write curiously. Finally finished. After a while, Kyan wrote the last word, and then looked at the content in the scroll. The forbidden technique he wrote down last night came to his mind, and he checked if there was anything wrong. After confirming that there was no problem, he put the scroll away, and also left a mark of the Flying Thunder God technique on the scroll, and put it next to Yayu. "Put this scroll in the nest, and make sure to put it away," Kyan solemnly told Yayu. Because he was not sure whether the Konoha high-level officials would punish him next, Kyan could only write down the forbidden technique he saw in the sealing technique first. As for not keeping it at home, he was also afraid that there would be a surprise inspection at home. Yayu looked down at the scroll, and when he saw the mark of the Flying Thunder God technique on the scroll, he immediately screamed in question. Ever since he used the Flying Thunder God technique to interrupt Yayu's good deeds that day, Yayu had secretly sworn in his heart that he would never let the thing with the mark of the Flying Thunder God technique appear in his nest. "Okay, I know. It won't appear suddenly again. I promise this time." Kyan patted Yayu's little head and said helplessly. Seeing this, Yayu nodded unwillingly, grabbed the scroll, and flew into the forest. Seeing Yayu leave, Kyan was also relieved. Last night, after Kushina brought the Book of Seals, Kyan did not read the content of the Flying Thunder God technique, because he had already learned the Flying Thunder God technique. And of course, Kyan had to seize such a good opportunity to watch the Book of Seals. Kyan did not read the forbidden techniques such as the sealing technique, because Kushina knew this kind of forbidden technique. With Kushina's attitude towards him, this kind of ninjutsu will be passed on to him sooner or later. So Kyan specially selected the forbidden technique developed by the second generation Hokage Senjutsu Birama. But the time was still too short. Even with the delay of teacher Kushina, Kyan only remembered the impure world reincarnation and won 8 gates. Just after the crow feather flew away, 4 people dressed in black came to the door of Kyan's house. Kyan felt something and walked out of the room. He looked at the 4 people in front of him. The 4 people wore different animal masks and were dressed in Anbu costumes. Kyan stared at a figure, his eyes moved slightly, and he saw a familiar feeling from this figure. He thought for a while and knew who the person was. It was an acquaintance, Murata, the ninja who was his assessment object in the Genin assessment. At the same time, Kyan also understood that this team of people were members of the Root. I thought that Konoha Ref4 discussed the punishment decision and sent the Anbu to notify, but I didn't expect that the people who came were actually members of the Root. This is a bit interesting. Chiga frowned and asked, did the third Hokage decide to punish you? He emphasized his tone above the third Hokage, expressing that he would only accept punishments from the third Hokage. However, the Root team didn't care about this at all. The leader, Aburame Ryoma, said, Uchiha Chiga, because you read the Book of Seals privately, I'm now under the order of Danzō to bring you back to the Root to seal your memory. Danzō? Sorry, I only accept orders from the Hokage. As for Danzō, I don't know him. Chiga's eyes flashed, and he remembered the aggressive look Danzō gave him when he first met him. He understood that this should be a decision made by Danzō privately. If he followed this Root team now, he would die without knowing how. Danzō is a Hokage's assistant. The orders he issued are no different from those issued by the third Hokage. Aburame Ryoma said. Don't talk so much nonsense. I only look at the transfer order from the Hokage. If it's only from Danzō, then go back as soon as possible and don't waste my time. Chiga rolled her eyes. If you have the guts, say this in front of Sarutobi Hiruzen and see if your Danzō can protect you. Seeing that ordinary means didn't work, Aburame Ryoma stopped pretending and started to accuse him directly. Huh? You dare to openly disobey the order of Danzō, Uchiha Chiga? Are you going to betray the village? In that case, we can only use tough means to take you there. As he said that, he waved his hand, and the 3 Root members behind him immediately took action. As expected of someone who follows Danzō, you have learned most of the means of accusing, but what about your strength? Seeing that the other party took the first move, Chiga also sneered, and he came in front of Murata with a flash body technique. Although I have already avenged my original vengeance, I still feel very relieved. I didn't expect that you would come to my door today. Then let's experience the illusion of the Sharingan. Magical shackle technique. In Murata's astonished expression, a pair of Magatama has filled all his eyes. In an instant, Murata, who was still trying to perform the mist-hidden technique, had his eyes dulled. In the illusion, Murata's body was nailed by huge iron nails, and he had no ability to resist. The feeling of the large iron nails piercing his body made Murata scream. What a powerful illusion. Aburame Ryoma's face changed. He never thought that Chiga, who had just persisted in Murata's hands a few months ago, had grown to this point. Murata was solved in just a moment. At the same time, he realized that their intelligence system was lagging behind again. Secret technique Mashidama. Before he could think about it, countless parasites appeared on Aburame Ryoma's body in an instant, a black mass. These parasites can not only restrain the enemy, but also eat away the enemy's chakra bit by bit. Under his instruction, all the parasites flew towards Chiga. At the same time, another Root member formed seals with his hands, and the shadow under his feet suddenly began to change. Obviously a member of the Nera clan. Shadow imitation technique. There were countless insects in the sky, and there were also shadows attacking on the ground. Seeing this, Chiga had to jump back. While jumping, Chiga had already started to form seals with both hands. At the moment the seal was completed, Chiga had already jumped onto the eaves, and the opponent's shadow secret technique was out of range because of the insufficient distance. At this time, Chiga looked at the insects in the sky and shouted softly, "Fire style, ash accumulation burning technique." Facing insects, the best means of restraint is this large-scale fire style ninjutsu. Chiga spit out a ball of high-temperature ash from his mouth. In this scorching ash, Aburame Ryoma's parasites had no ability to resist, and were burned clean one after another. PS. Please react, please vote, please collect, please recommend. Chapter 78, The Beginning of Controlling the Root Ninja. Watching his parasites burn to ashes, Aburame Ryoma had no time to feel sorry for his parasites. He leaped back. After all, he knew something about fire style, ash accumulation burning technique. This ninjutsu could not be ended by the high temperature of the ash, but was just the beginning. After Chiga covered all 4 people in the ash, he stopped spitting out the ash. Instead, he made a seal and spit out a small flame from his mouth onto the ash. In an instant, the power of fire style, ash accumulation burning technique exploded instantly, and the temperature of the surrounding air suddenly rose, as if he was next to a burning furnace. Then, a red flame suddenly gushed out from the ash, mixed with billowing black smoke, and countless tiny sparks. These sparks spread rapidly in the air, turning into a sea of fire, engulfing everything around it. The heat wave rushed in his face, as if it was going to burn people's skin. The air was filled with a smell of burning and burning, which was suffocating. The entire battlefield seemed to have turned into a sea of fire, and the flames intertwined in the air into a red net, dyeing the sky red. The entire Uchiha clan was instantly alarmed. What's going on? It seems that someone is fighting. Fighting in the Uchiha clan? Are you crazy? Where are our Uchiha ninjas? I heard that someone sneaked into the Hokage building last night, and our security team didn't find it. Today, we were all taken away for a lecture. Damn, they actually chose this time. Hide quickly, this kind of movement is probably at the level of a Jonin, and the security team must have been alerted. They should be on their way. The people who are currently staying in the Uchiha clan are all old, weak, women and children. After hearing the movement, of course, they will not go up to seek death, so they are very wise to hide at home. It seems that when this group of roots came, they also knew that the Uchiha clan ninjas were holding a criticism meeting today, so they dared to come to Kaion unscrupulously and take action. When the smoke and dust dissipated, the 3 teammates of Aburame Ryoma were lying on the ground, and their bodies still exuded a burnt smell. As for Aburame Ryoma, he was not much better off. Although he escaped from the area covered by smoke and ash at the critical moment, half of his body was still affected by the explosion. Chiga was still restrained, and did not use too much chakra, but even so, the power of this ninjutsu should not be underestimated. After all, this is the family ninjutsu of the Sarutobi clan. With half of his body injured by the explosion, Aburame Ryoma half knelt on the ground, looking up at Chiga who was walking step by step. Chiga walked in front of Aburame Ryoma and stopped, looking at Aburame Ryoma and sneered. Why, your Lord Danzō sent you bunch of trash to take me away. Aburame Ryoma lowered his head, ignoring Chiga's ridicule, and just muttered, the root has no name, no feelings. There is no past, and no future. There is only a mission in my heart. I will never fall down, before I bring you back to the root. As he said, he used all his strength to pull out a kunai, and stabbed Chiga's chest. Psycho. Chiga slightly turned his body and easily dodged the kunai attack of Aburame Ryoma, then hit Aburame Ryoma in the abdomen with an inch strike, knocking him out. Looking at Aburame Ryoma who was about to stand up, Chiga sighed helplessly. This made him look like a villain. If I kill you, I will be in big trouble, especially when you have a psychotic leader. Although Chiga said this, with such subordinates who are not afraid of life and death, and want to complete the task, Chiga has to admire Danzō's brainwashing methods. This is no longer a person, it can be said to be a tool, a very useful tool. If possible, Chiga also wants to have such a tool. As soon as this idea appeared in Chiga's mind, his eyes showed a gleam. Yes, I don't have the means and mentality to train such subordinates, but Danzō can. As the saying goes, as long as the hoe is used well. It is the ancestors who plant trees, and the descendants who enjoy the shade. Chiga is ready to let Danzō be a good ancestor. Convert all the root ninjas trained by Danzō into his own subordinates. Thinking of this, Kaion came to the back of Aburame Ryoma in an instant, took out the samurai sword, and hit Aburame Ryoma on the back of his head with the handle of the samurai sword. Then, he checked the burnt parts of Aburame Ryoma, and then used the samurai sword to cut a small incision on the burnt calf. Because the burns on the calf were the most serious, no blood flowed out after the wound was cut, and only the white bones with blood were seen. Seeing this, Kyan wrapped his palms on the bones. After a while, under Kyan's engraving, a complex pattern appeared on Aburame Ryoma's bones. This pattern seemed to come alive at the moment of formation, moving up along the calf bone until it moved to a part without any external injuries and stopped. The mark of the Flying Thunder God technique. Because this mark is too obvious and cannot be eliminated, Kyan did not dare to print it outside. The marks were printed on the bones. When treating the burns, the medical ninjas would not check the bones when using the palm technique. After the wound sealed, it would be even more impossible to be discovered. After doing it to Aburame Ryoma, Chiga did the same to the other three. It is not so easy to control the ninjas of the root. Chiga still needs to plan carefully and study carefully how the ninjas of the root were brainwashed. At present, there is no time and conditions to support him to complete the experiment, so he will leave marks on the 4 people first and then study them carefully when he has time in the future. At this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen arrived at the scene with Shimura Danzō and 2 consultants. At the same time, members of the Uchiha Guard also arrived, but they were blocked by the Anbu and could not enter the scene. From this point, it can be seen that the Uchiha Guard is nothing in front of the Anbu, and their power in the village is completely lower than that of the Anbu. Even if there is a problem in the Uchiha clan, in the field, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who had rushed over anxiously, looked past the safe and sound Chiga and looked at the 4 root ninjas lying on the ground. He was not worried about Chiga at first, but was afraid that Chiga would kill the root, thus making the situation irreversible. Now, after seeing that the 4 root ninjas were still alive, Sarutobi Hiruzen put aside his worries. However, Shimura Danzō's face was not very good. He had guessed that Chiga would resist and deliberately asked Aburame Ryoma to bring Murata, who restrained Chiga and 2 teammates with full control ability. But unexpectedly, the 4 of them were lying on the ground, and it seemed that they did not cause any harm to Chiga. How dare you? You dare to attack the root ninjas, Uchiha Chiga, are you going to betray the village? Chapter 79, Danzō's extraordinary performance. How dare you? You openly attacked the ninjas of the root, Uchiha Chiga, are you going to betray the village? Shimura Danzō cut the Gordian knot and first pinned a charge on Chiga. Chiga picked her ear and glanced at the fallen Aburame Ryoma with disdain. Sure enough, it would only make sense if Shimura Danzō said it himself, and the others were still a little short of it. Seeing that Chiga was unmoved and had the leisure to pick her earwax, Shimura Danzō suddenly became furious. What? The words of my assistant Hokage are so filthy in your ears? You Uchiha brat who is born evil. Just wait, I will not put the blame on you today, and I will not be the assistant Hokage at all. Negative emotions from Shimura Danzō, emotion value plus 50. Shimura Danzō said in a cold tone, Sarutobi, you see, I just sent Ryoma to invite Uchiha Chiga to the root for a small brain surgery, and the person who performed this small operation was your disciple Orochimaru. You were worried about me, but you are at least confident in Orochimaru, right? Unexpectedly, Uchiha Chiga not only refused, but also injured my people, violently resisting the root's law enforcement. I have sufficient reason to suspect that he has seen a lot of forbidden techniques in the sealed book. Sarutobi, I suggest that this boy be captured directly and brought to the root for severe torture. We will definitely be able to force him to tell us how many forbidden techniques in the sealed book he has read. Then let this boy make meritorious contributions in the root. I'm doing this for the sake of the village. Sealing memories can certainly allow Uchiha Chiga to seal the forbidden techniques in the sealed book, but Uzumaki Kushina is a sealed ninja and must have taught him the sealing ninjutsu. This Uchiha kid definitely has the means to remove the sealing technique. As for joining the root, it can effectively prevent others from snooping. After all, the location of the root is secret. Speaking of the latter, Shimura Danzō became more and more anxious, as if he was thinking about the Konoha ninja village. He waved his hand and said, come here, tie up this boy for me. Then send him to the headquarters of the root. I want to interrogate him. Shimura Danzō's superior attitude swung, and the momentum that came naturally even overwhelmed the ordinary old man who was smoking a pipe and wearing a Hokage hat. Fortunately, the people who followed were all Anbu, and they didn't listen to Shimura Danzo's nonsense. They just stood quietly behind Sarutobi Hiruzen and watched Shimura Danzo perform. And Utatane Koharu and Mito Kadoen, who were originally standing next to Shimura Danzo, also silently stepped back a few steps and stood next to Sarutobi Hiruzen. The scene seemed to be awkward all of a sudden, and even Chiga, the person involved, looked at Shimura Danzo with a surprised face. Has Danzo always been so brave? In front of the third Hokage, commanding the Anbu who only obey the Hokage to work. Sarutobi. Shimura Danzo calmly retracted his waving hand and sighed in regret in his heart. It's over. It's an extraordinary performance. Shut up. Seeing that Shimura Danzo had something else to say, Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed helplessly and said, Danzo, don't mention sending Chiga to the route anymore. I won't agree. Although the scene looked exactly as Danzo said. But Sarutobi Hiruzen still understood that, if Chiga was not strong enough, by the time they arrived, everyone would have been taken to the route. By then, it would be difficult for Chiga to walk out of the route safely. Seeing this, Shimura Danzo narrowed his eyes, took a closer look at the wounds of the 4 people, and then looked at the dust on the ground, and saw something from the ashes on the ground. His eyes lit up, and he said to Sarutobi Hiruzen, look, the ninjutsu used by Uchiha Chiga is actually your family's fire style, ash burning technique, which is a ninjutsu that the Uchiha clan does not have. I strongly suspect that he learned it secretly. It seems that, when he was peeking at the sealed book, Uchiha Chiga had already begun to steal the ninjutsu of the major families. This person must have ninjutsu from other families in his mind. Tied him up. Sarutobi Hiruzen heard this, and his face turned black. He still had some say in this matter. At the beginning, in order to make Chiga let down his vigilance against Konoha Uchiha and let her win the test, his kid bribed her with his family's ninjutsu. As a result, Konoha Uchiha did not win, and because of this incident, she had a psychological shadow. Until now, she still doesn't pay much attention to Asuma. Sarutobi Hiruzen walked forward expressionlessly, squatted down, grabbed a handful of unburned ash, and rubbed it in his hands. Then, he turned around and said to Chiga in a deep voice, Uchiha Chiga. Third Hokage. I can explain this ninjutsu. Chiga also responded solemnly. Although Sarutobi Hiruzen has not listened to Shimura Danzo's nonsense, Chiga is also afraid that Sarutobi Hiruzen can't stand the pressure. At this moment, he has even thought about how to use the Flying Thunder God technique to escape. However, Sarutobi Hiruzen's face changed and praised, well, you use this fire style ash accumulation technique well, better than Asuma's. However, you haven't handled some details of this ninjutsu well. Look at these ashes. The explosion is not sufficient, and there are still residues, so the power will be a little bit smaller. Chiga felt relieved, and then followed Sarutobi Hiruzen's rhythm and asked humbly, really? Then third Hokage, how do you need to increase the power? That's the point. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Chiga who was humbly asking for advice, and he looked even more kind. I can't tell you about some of the characteristics of cigarette ash, but you can go and smoke it to feel it. Our Sarutobi clan also created this ninjutsu from smoking. But you can't tell this to Kushina, otherwise, with Kushina's temper, my bid will be in vain. At this point, Sarutobi Hiruzen subconsciously touched his chin, with lingering fear. Kushina is still very scary when she goes crazy. If she knew that he actually encouraged Chiga to smoke, not to mention his beard, all the hair on his body would be gone. Seeing this, Chiga patted his chest and promised, of course I won't tell it. I should remember the teachings of the third Hokage in my heart. How can I easily tell others? Even teacher Kushina can't. Ha ha ha, good. Chiga, I didn't misjudge you. If you have any questions about ninjutsu in the future, you are always welcome to come to me. Sarutobi Hiruzen laughed and patted Chiga's shoulder, indicating that if you have any questions in the future, just come to me. Although my title of the strongest Hokage is a bit nonsense, but the title of Doctor of Ninja World is real, and not just talk. Chapter 80 Plan. Seeing that Sarutobi Hiruzen began to teach Uchiha Chiga how to make fire style, ash burning technique more powerful, Shimura Danzo knew that Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't care at all about how Chiga obtained this fire style, and this conversation was just to change the subject. to cover up the fact that Chiga seriously injured the root ninja and secretly told him not to continue to entangle. Shimura Danzō certainly would not be willing to accept this. He knocked the ground heavily with the crutch in his hand, interrupting the conversation between Chiga and Sarutobi Hiruzen. After attracting the attention of the two, Shimura Danzō said, "Sarutobi, this matter can't be let go. My men are still lying on the ground. Oh, I almost forgot." Hearing this, Chiga was also shocked and suddenly remembered that these 4 people were his future experimental subjects and they couldn't just die like this. He looked at the 4 people lying on the ground with great concern and then kindly said to Shimura Danzō, "Danzō-sama, why don't you take these 4 people down for treatment first, otherwise they will really die." As he said this, Chiga's face was full of regret, and then he said, "Although I use the fire style ash burning technique well, you just heard what the 3rd Hokage said. The details are still a bit too poor, so it is common to not be able to control the power of ninjutsu. I don't think Danzō-sama will care about this little thing." Negative emotions from Shimura Danzō, emotion value plus 60. Humph, I don't need you to be hypocritical. At this moment, Shimura Danzō's lungs were about to explode, and he felt like he was stabbed in the heart. Sarutobi Hiruzen also came back to his senses, looking at Danzō, whose mouth was about to be crooked with anger, and said, "Danzō, listen, Chiga is still concerned about whether your subordinates will die, and it seems that he showed mercy when he attacked. How could such a person betray the village? It must be that your subordinates did not explain their intentions when they came, and they took the initiative to attack. Chiga is a good child. He didn't bother with your subordinates, but only made them lose their ability to move." Sarutobi Hiruzen's face was full of grief, which formed a perfect match with the regret on Chiga's face. He slapped the knife on Danzō's chest hard. "Don't say it, 3rd Hokage. Danzō is also thinking about this village." Chiga pulled Sarutobi Hiruzen's sleeve and said with a slightly red face. This was not his fake, but he felt a little embarrassed when he heard Sarutobi Hiruzen's words of praise. He just felt that it was not easy to get these 4 experimental subjects, and he didn't want to lose them just like that. It's really not like Sarutobi Hiruzen said that he still cared about the life and death of the enemy. You are going too far. At this moment, Shimura Danzō covered his chest with one hand and pointed at Chiga and Sarutobi Hiruzen with his other crutch, and his words were not clear. Break the defense from Shimura Danzō, emotional value plus 100. Break the defense from Shimura Danzō, emotional value plus 100. The 2 consultants behind him couldn't stand it anymore, and more Uchiha clan members came over. They also knew that staying here would easily escalate the situation. It was a small matter to cause dissatisfaction among the Uchiha clan. The problem was that they couldn't let other families in Konoha know that they actually treated the children of the Konoha ninja village families like this. "Okay, Danzō, take your people down to treat them first. Yes, if there is any problem, let's go back to the Hokage's office and talk." Danzō saw that no one spoke for him, and he knew that he could do nothing about Uchiha Chiga now. He took a deep breath, calmed down his emotions, and then gave Chiga a sinister look, and then walked towards the Hokage building. As for the roots lying on the ground, someone will naturally come to drag them away. In the Hokage's office, Utane Koharu and Mitokado had already left first, leaving only Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzō. "Okay, this matter ends here. Danzō, you can't target Uchiha Chiga." Facing the powerful Sarutobi Hiruzen, Shimura Danzō could only remain silent. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at his former comrade in arms and sighed in his heart. He clapped his hands lightly, and an invisible force instantly enveloped the entire Hokage's office. Seeing this, Shimura Danzō's face sank, knowing that Sarutobi Hiruzen had something important to say to him. "Danzō, are you still studying Hashirama cells?" Sarutobi Hiruzen spoke with a big bomb as soon as he opened his mouth. Since the death of Hashirama Senju, Konoha village has lost the means to restrain the Nine Tails. So Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzō once used the power of the entire village to conduct research on Hashirama cells. But because a large number of volunteers died one by one during the experiment, Sarutobi Hiruzen had to terminate the project and sealed up all the related records as black history. However, he knew that Danzō would not give up. The Ninetales has always been a hidden danger in the village. Without being able to control the Ninetales, we dare not let Kushina leave the village at will, and we have to protect her at all times. This is both a danger and a burden to the village. So, finding a way to control the Ninetales has always been our common goal. In this regard, Shimura Danzō neither admitted nor denied, but frowned and said, "Sarutobi, what do you want to say?" Sarutobi Hiruzen asked, "Have you ever thought that, since Ashirama-sama's experiment has not been completed, can we change our thinking?" Shimura Danzō looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen in confusion. Sarutobi Hiruzen said bluntly, "That person can also control the Ninetales." That person? Uchiha Madara. Shimura Danzō heard this, his pupils suddenly shrank. Compared with the violent control method of the first generation of Hokage, Senju Hashiramas would release, there is no doubt that Uchiha Madara's Mangekyou Sharingan control method is more sophisticated. Using illusions can not only control the Ninetales, but also transform it into one's own power, which is simply killing two birds with one stone. Shimura Danzō seemed to understand a little bit why Sarutobi Hiruzen agreed to Uchiha Chiga to become Uzumaki Kushina's disciple. He frowned and said to Sarutobi Hiruzen, "What a fantastic idea. Aren't you afraid that when Uchiha Chiga can control the Ninetales, this Konoha village will be controlled by the Uchiha clan? So, why do you think I want Chiga to become Kushina's disciple? And why did you refuse when Chiga had military merits that could be exchanged for the Flying Thunder God technique?" Upon hearing this, Shimura Danzō immediately realized, "So Uzumaki Kushina stealing the Book of Seals for her own disciple is also in your plan?" That's not the case. Sarutobi Hiruzen rolled his eyes at Shimura Danzō, really talking about something else. "If I could keep up with Kushina's train of thought, would I still be sitting in this Hokage position and chatting with you?" Chapter 81, Matchmaker Sarutobi Hiruzen. From Sarutobi Hiruzen's words, Shimura Danzō had already heard Sarutobi Hiruzen's arrangement for Uchiha Chiga. Let Uchiha Chiga become Kushina Uzumaki's disciple, and through small things, let Uchiha Chiga and Kushina Uzumaki establish a bond. And when Uchiha Chiga's Sharingan is enough to control the Ninetales, then you can try the second step. Use the pupil technique of the Sharingan to control the Ninetales, and make Kushina Uzumaki a perfect Jinchuriki. It has to be said that this is indeed a whimsical idea, but it is also feasible. However, in this way, it is equivalent to binding the two. And it can be said that the life and death of Kushina Uzumaki is completely in the hands of Uchiha Chiga. That's not the case. I just want Chiga to know that I can exchange for the Flying Thunder God technique entirely because of Kushina. I didn't expect Kushina to do this for her disciple. Sarutobi Hiruzen also smiled bitterly, but he was proud in his heart. The first step of establishing the bond was very successful. The relationship between the two has become very close. Shimura Danzō knew that Sarutobi Hiruzen had told him so clearly, and was also telling him that Uchiha Chiga was part of his plan, and he could not do anything to Uchiha Chiga, otherwise he would be openly against the Hokage. But Shimura Danzō did not believe in these things. His face darkened, and he said, "As a ninja, you believe in things like bonds. Sarutobi, you are old. You are starting to let your emotions get the better of you. Your plan is good from the starting point, but you can't trust the Uchiha clan, even a kid. Don't forget, the Uchiha clan has also produced ninjas who care about the village like this." Sarutobi Hiruzen corrected him after hearing this. Mentioning his old teammate, Danzō Shimura did not refute, but just said, "HMPH, Kagami, I admit it, but such people are extremely rare. I still suggest brainwashing Uchiha Chiga before executing your plan." Brainwashing? Turning the genius of the Uchiha clan in Konoha village into a tool? Don't think I don't know the stupid things you have done. In the past, when you coerced other families, you didn't use too drastic means, so I won't say much. But to deal with Chiga, you even dared to take action on the Uchiha clan's territory. Don't you take the Uchiha clan too little? You don't take me, the Hokage, seriously enough. What's more, if Chiga is taken away for brainwashing now, don't you think Kushina can't see it? If Kushina makes a fuss, you will solve it? Sarutobi Hiruzen was furious when he saw that Danzō Shimura was stubborn, and he almost beat Danzō Shimura up himself. "That's because you owe Uzumaki Kushina, I don't." Shimura Danzō retorted subconsciously. This sentence made Sarutobi Hiruzen frown, and he softened his tone and asked, "What are you talking about? Uzumaki Kushina, Namake's Minato." Shimura Danzō said this, looked up at Sarutobi Hiruzen, and then slowly said, "Cloud Ninja." In an instant, the moment Shimura Danzō uttered the word Cloud Ninja, an invisible pressure suddenly emerged from Sarutobi Hiruzen's body. The momentum of the top ninja was like a storm in the Hokage's office. The terrifying murderous intent in Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes was like a substance raging around. Even Danzō had a little fear at this moment. But things have come to this point, and Danzō also bit the bullet, and continued to talk. Back then, when Uzumaki Kushina first came to Konohagakure, she was already an 8-year-old girl. She was already dissatisfied with Konohagakure for not helping the Uzumaki clan. Even after she wandered in the ninja world, and was found by us, she was still out of place in the peaceful Konohagakure. And you also saw the problem. It happened that the Cloud Ninja wanted to capture Uzumaki Kushina, and you took the opportunity to arrange the scene of Namake's Minato saving people. Those Cloud Ninjas never thought that their every move was under the surveillance of the Anbu. Until Uzumaki Kushina was in despair, the Namake's Minato you arranged appeared in time without any accident. This made Namake's Minato enter Uzumaki Kushina's heart, and at the same time, made Uzumaki Kushina identify with Konoha. Speaking of the latter, Danzō Shimura also raised his head and looked directly at Sarutobi Hiruzen and said, "More importantly, Namake's Minato became Jiraiya's disciple after this, right? Ever since Uzumaki Kushina confirmed that she would become the Ninth El's Jinchuriki, she has been a puppet in your hands. Danzō, it's time for you to go." Sarutobi Hiruzen said. He did not admit that he had done this, nor did he admit that he had not done it. Everything was just Danzō's guess. As Danzō Shimura left, Sarutobi Hiruzen looked up and sighed. After all, I don't have the power of Lord Hashirama. Power can make people intoxicated, and strength is the royal road to the pinnacle of power. While Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzō were hurting each other, Chiga was communicating with Uchiha Fugaku in his home. What happened before? Uchiha Fugaku asked. The Hokage assistant wanted to pull me into the route, and I didn't agree, so they did it. Chiga briefly talked to Uchiha Fugaku, and did not mention why he was taken away. Danzō, Uchiha Fugaku sighed and said, I didn't want you to get involved in this matter, but it seems that I need to tell you in advance. Among the high-ranking officials of Konoha, except for the third Hokage who is relatively fair to our clan, the other 3 people are extremely disgusted with our clan, especially this Shimura Danzō, so you have to be careful of Shimura Danzō. I know, clan leader. Chiga nodded. Seeing this, Uchiha Fugaku did not say anything else, but took out a scroll, and after unsealing it, a samurai sword was placed inside. In the afternoon sun, the blade flashed with a cold light, and the scabbard was made of a rare black hardwood, as smooth as jade. The pattern on the back of the blade was clearly visible, and it was obvious that it was not an ordinary item. This sword was made by a famous craftsman in the land of craftsmen, and it is also mixed with chakra metal. Even for our Uchiha clan, it is a rare fine product. Uchiha Fugaku said. Kyan he heard this, and flicked the sword lightly with his hand. Clang. The sound of the sword made Kyan nod with great satisfaction. Kyan he asked, I'm very satisfied with this sword. Thank you for your family's care for me. Master, does this sword have a name? Yes, the name of the sword is Gale. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 82, The Uchiha Clan's Redessin. 3 days later, Minato and Kakashi were walking on the Uchiha clan's land. They hadn't seen Chiga for several days since the last mission. In addition, they had been resting in Konoha village for 7 days, and it was time to continue accepting missions. Kakashi looked at an Uchiha clan member who smiled and nodded at them and walked over, and his face became very strange. If he was not mistaken, the Uchiha clan member was also a Jonin. Kakashi whispered to Minato. Teacher Minato, have you noticed that the Uchiha clan members are a little different to us today? Indeed, they seem to be a lot kinder. Minato also responded softly. Minato was also full of doubts about this. Although the Uchiha clan members would not look at people with squinted eyes, they would not be as kind as today for no reason. After thinking for a while, Minato said, maybe it's because we are Chiga's teammates. After all, Chiga is very important in the Uchiha clan. I think it's because of Chiga that the Uchiha clan treats us differently. That should be the case. Kakashi nodded in agreement. The two of them were able to get the goodwill of the Uchiha clan because of Chiga, but it was definitely not caused by Chiga himself. It was because the top leaders of the Uchiha clan knew that their clan had invested in Minato. If they didn't know that Minato already had a girlfriend, they would even want to pick someone from the Uchiha clan to give to Minato as his wife. After all, since ancient times, the best way to win over people is to marry a daughter. The two came to Chiga's home. They knocked on the door and found that there was no response. Minato slightly sensed the house and found that Chiga was still at home. He immediately looked at Kakashi. Kakashi, who understood Minato's eyes, thought about it and pushed the door open. Seeing this, Minato could only follow Kakashi in. After walking through the front yard, the two entered the inner room. The house was in a mess, and the huge living room was filled with all kinds of complicated information. Minato picked up a few books and looked at them and found that they were books about illusions or the structure of the human brain. He was stunned for a moment, thinking that Chiga was reading the information about space-time ninjutsu so that he could have a foundation for learning the Flying Thunder God technique. This made him curious. It's Minato-senpai and Kakashi. Chiga, who heard the noise, raised his head from the pile of books and asked with a little tiredness, "Why are you here? Are you developing a new illusion?" Minato looked at Chiga in surprise. His thin cheeks, heavy dark circles, and chicken coop hair looked like he had encountered problems when developing a new ninjutsu. Chiga nodded and shook his head. To make a person obey his orders permanently, you need the Manjaki Sharingan, and it must be an illusion of the level of Katamatsu Kami to do it. It can even be said that completely changing a person's will has deviated from the definition of illusion. There is only one example of the use of Katamatsu Kami in the anime, and no one can say whether it can really be permanent. Chiga studied for 3 days, but had no clue. What kind of illusion do you want to develop? Minato became interested and asked curiously. Senior Minato, you should have heard of the root. Hearing this, Minato was silent for a while, nodded and said, well, this department also invited me to join, but in the end it seemed to be blocked by Master Jiraiya, so I didn't care. So the commotion in your house that day was because the root wanted to pull you in? Minato had also heard about this matter. Although the top leaders suppressed it, there were still some rumors. It's almost the same, but the means were a bit more intense. Chiga replied, and then continued, Senior Minato, let me tell you, the root ninja put a hat on me right away. It is unrealistic to want to overthrow Shimura Danzō during the reign of the third Hokage. The trust level between the two is too high. There will only be a chance when Minato is in power. Therefore, now I will first apply some Shimura Danzō's eye drops to the future fourth Hokage. After listening to Chiga's narration, Minato's face was a little unhappy. Although he was a civilian ninja, he was a disciple of Jiraiya and was considered a legitimate Hokage, so Shimura Danzō would not use any drastic means. He had always thought that the root was just a training department for the Anbu, as they said. After listening to Chiga's narration today, his impression of Shimura Danzō was quite different. Minato frowned and asked, what does this have to do with your development of new illusions? Chiga saw that her eye drops were quite successful and nodded in satisfaction, and then said, I was thinking, since Danzō can erase the emotions of ninjas through training such as elimination of self and then brainwash them, then can I also brainwash people through an illusion? There are also many ninjas in the root who were transferred from other departments, such as Orochimaru, who is still working under Shimura Danzō. The real root ninjas have all gone through the training of eliminating the self and are extremely loyal. That is the core strength of Shimura Danzō, and Chiga needs to transform this group of ninjas. Hearing this, Minato did not express his opinion on the illusion, but just shook his head and said, it's impossible. Although I don't know how Danzō-sama eliminates the self, I know that before a ninja becomes a tool, he is first a person, and as long as he is a person, no one can completely erase his own feelings. Chiga was surprised and said, "So, do you think that Danzō-sama's eliminating the self method is just a joke?" That's not the case, but I think this method is just to suppress the self, so that a personality without emotions, only missions in mind and loyal appears. Second personality? Chiga lowered his head and thought about it, and he also felt that it made some sense. So it seems that the plan to completely change the thinking of the root ninjas should be shelved and replaced by a plan to awaken the self. As for whether this self obeys Danzō or Chiga, it requires Chiga to work hard. It's an idea. I have to study it carefully. Wait a minute, Chiga, what do you want to develop this illusion for? It's not development. I just suddenly feel that changing a person's will seems to be a very scary thing. I just take precautions in advance, fearing that I will be caught suddenly. The matter of prying into Danzō's corner cannot be said openly, so Chiga just chatted with Minato casually and changed the subject. "Okay, Minato-senpai, let's not talk about this. What did you come here for this time?" Chapter 83, the first prohibition of the Minato class. Hearing this, Minato looked at Chiga speechlessly and said, "You haven't participated in the daily activities of Minato's team for 7 days. You won't forget that you are still a member of Minato's team?" Chiga heard this and smiled awkwardly. There are really a lot of things these days, and they are all caused by himself. It seems that he is completely out of touch with Minato and the others, and has never thought about it. 7 days of rest is long enough. We should go to accept new tasks, Minato said. He is a motivated person, and has clear goals for his future. Hokage, and becoming a Hokage requires not only strength, but also contribution to the village. So the frequency of Minato's team accepting tasks is also very frequent. However, Chiga always feels that there is something wrong. He looked at Minato twice and said with a sly smile, "Senior Minato, I think you can't see Teacher Kushina. It's too boring to stay at home, right? The punishment for Kushina stealing the Book of Seals has come down. Although it was only an additional 6 months of confinement, the one Anbu at the door was replaced by a team of Anbu. Moreover, there is a female Anbu watching Kushina's house 24 hours a day. Under such circumstances, it is impossible for Minato to have a private meeting with Kushina again. It seems that Minato also thought of doing the mission for this reason." Minato rolled his eyes at Chiga, and at the same time, sighed helplessly in his heart. His girlfriend is good in every way, but her ability to cause trouble is really first class. Minato also asked someone to find out about Kushina's mistake this time. Stealing the Book of Seals. This crime can be treated as treason against the village. And Kushina was only given an extra 6 months of confinement. People are really incomparable. Moreover, through this incident, coupled with the kidnapping of Kushina by the Cloud Ninja many years ago, Minato also had some guesses in his heart. Kushina's identity in the village is probably not simple. However, compared with Kushina's identity, what Minato found more strange was that the only person who could enter Kushina's room now was the access certificate in Chiga's hand. Until the third Hokage took back this certificate, it was always valid. Minato was confused. Since he thought of adding people to Kushina's door, wouldn't he know that Chiga had a pass in his hand? He couldn't figure out the third Hokage's intention for a while. But if Chiga's name wasn't written on the pass, Minato would have wanted to ask Chiga to borrow it. At this point, Minato linked the root's attempt to win over Chiga with Kushina's theft of the Book of Seals. After thinking for a while, he said to Chiga apologetically, "I'm sorry, I didn't expect Kushina's misbehavior to bring you so much trouble. Even if this didn't happen, that guy would probably have other reasons to trouble me." Chiga waved his hand indifferently. Minato didn't say much, just looked at Chiga and Kakashi, and asked, "Okay, no more words. Let's go and take the mission now. Do you have any requirements for the mission?" Kakashi shook his head, indicating that he didn't. Chiga thought for a moment and suggested, "Let's go to the Land of Hot Springs. I heard from Kakashi that the hot springs in the Land of Hot Springs are very good. I want to experience it. Besides, the weather has turned cold recently, which is a good time to take a hot spring bath. Is that so? Okay, let's find a mission to the Land of Hot Springs." Minato nodded in agreement. At this time, Kakashi said, by the way, Minato-sensei, rather than confirming the mission location, shouldn't we consider the possibility of accidents during the mission? This brought Chika and Minato back to the night when they set the flag. Sometimes even ninjas have to believe in metaphysics. So Minato said with a serious look, Kakashi, you're right, we do need to consider this issue. Senior Minato, setting the flag is still a small matter. The problem is that the mission we accept must be kept confidential. No one else should know except the third Hokage. Chika reminded him tactfully. Compared with Minato and Kakashi, Chika believed that Uchiha Madara was behind this. Moreover, from the words of the two ninjas from the Land of Water, Chika also heard a hint of targeting him. Minato's pupils shrank and asked, you suspect that someone leaked the mission information, which led to our assassination? Chika nodded. Although it was a bit unrealistic to avoid the all-pervasive surveillance of White Zetsu, Chika felt that, as long as he maintained a certain degree of secrecy, he could still avoid the prying eyes of White Zetsu. At this time, Kakashi said, I personally think it was Chika's fault. If we hadn't been tricked into setting a flag, I think such a thing would never have happened. Wait, can you blame me for this? Didn't you two get carried away? Chika glared at Kakashi. The boy seemed to want to put the blame on him for the accident. Kakashi said expressionlessly, but you were the one who opened your mouth to set a flag first. If there is a problem, it must be the three of us. Chika said that he didn't want to take the blame for this, otherwise he would definitely be called a jinx in the future. Looking at the two people arguing, Minato stepped forward to interrupt, and then said, okay, although I don't quite believe this, what Kakashi said does make sense. We must be very cautious about setting up FLGAs. So I've decided, Minato said here, and said seriously, now I will issue the first ban of Minato's class. You must never set up FLGAs during or before a mission. Yes, Minato teacher. Kakashi also responded with a serious face, and then the two of them looked at Chika. Why are you looking at me? Don't you understand that I'm just on secondment, but I belong to Kushina's class? There is no need to abide by the ban on Minato's class, right? And am I the kind of person who sets up flags casually? If the atmosphere hadn't been right that day, how could I have said such a thing? Although Chika felt that it was necessary to issue such a ban, he always felt that these two people were deliberately targeting him. Don't say anything. Kushina has been under house arrest for 6 months. It will be next year before she can go out. Minato said, that means you have to follow us for at least half a year. Minato's words made it clear that you still have to stay under my control for another half a year. Now you dare not obey my ban. Are you trying to make things difficult for me? Okay, I get it. Chika also sighed. It was quite nice to follow Kushina to do D-level tasks in the village. I didn't expect that after going out, I would never have the chance to team up with Kushina again. Chapter 84, The Seal to Eliminate Tongue Trouble. Arriving at the Hokage's office, Minato exchanged a few words with Sarutobi Hiruzen before getting down to business. Third Hokage, could you please pick a mission for us to go to the Land of Hot Springs? Oh. Hearing that Minato had some requirements for the mission, Sarutobi Hiruzen was also surprised. It's like this, the weather is cold, and we want to experience the hot springs in the Land of Hot Springs. After listening to Minato's explanation, Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded in understanding. As long as it is not an urgent mission, ninjas will indeed have a moment of rest after completing the mission. Sarutobi Hiruzen thought about it and did not look for the mission list, but smiled and said, in that case, I do have a mission that requires you to go to the Land of Hot Springs. And it is indeed a mission that requires you, Minato, to go out in person to complete it. Hearing this, Minato's face showed a solemn expression, and he said in a deep voice, please give me your orders. Third Hokage. In his opinion, a mission that requires him to go out in person must require his special talents. And his special talent is obviously the Flying Thunder God technique. Don't be so serious, it's not a difficult task. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Minato's appearance, smiled dumbly, and asked, come to think of it, Minato, you haven't seen your teacher for a long time, right? Yes, Third Hokage, it's been more than half a year. Third Hokage, do you want us to bring back Jiraiya from the Land of Hot Springs? Minato didn't react at first, but when he carefully recalled where Jiraiya was currently, he immediately understood. Yes. Sarutobi Hiruzen heard this and said bluntly, "Third Hokage, if you really need to find Jiraiya, I can actually use summoning to notify Jiraiya. I believe Jiraiya will come back." After receiving the message, Minato still has a conscience and would not do such a blatant public travel. "There is a reason why I asked you to go." Sarutobi Hiruzen waved his hand nonchalantly. "If Jiraiya can be called back by a toad, that's good. That kid has already sent 3 waves of Mayanbu. If you, a disciple, can't call him back, then I have to come in person." At this point, Sarutobi Hiruzen's face darkened. At present, although 2 of the 3 ninjas in Konoha village are still in the village, Tsuneda's already in semi-retirement due to her own hemophobia. And Orochimaru was transferred to the route and is currently playing happily with Shimura Danzō and doesn't want to return to the Anbu for a while. For a while, Sarutobi Hiruzen's only high-end combat power, Hateitsukumo, was available, and the situation in the ninja world was becoming more and more serious, so Sarutobi Hiruzen also wanted to call back his unreliable disciple. Maybe Jiraiya teacher has important information to collect. Hearing this, Minato awkwardly explained for Jiraiya. "It's settled. We'll set off early tomorrow morning. Mission level B, you must bring Jiraiya back to me." Sarutobi Hiruzen slammed the table and said in a deep voice. The third Hokage had already issued the task of finding Jiraiya as a mission. It seemed that he was also irritated by Jiraiya's unreliable temper. After sending out 3 waves of Anbu without success, he only sent Minato to persuade Jiraiya to come back with the affection between master and apprentice. Obviously, it was the limit of Sarutobi Hiruzen's patience. If Minato still couldn't persuade Jiraiya to come back, it was unrealistic for Sarutobi Hiruzen to go out in person, but Hateitsukumo under him could make some moves. By then, Jiraiya would be driven back by Hateitsukumo with sparks and lightning. Yes, third Hokage. Seeing this, Minato didn't say much and could only accept the order. Once again leaving the village, Chiga also came to Kushina's house. With the certificate of entry and exit, Chiga easily entered. Because there was a female Anbu watching all the time, Kyan didn't say much. He just told Kushina that he had to leave because of a mission and then return to his home. At night, Kyan decided to do something before leaving the village. He sensed the mark of the Flying Thunder God technique and found that 3 of the marks engraved on the root ninjas could not be sensed. It seems that it is in a place where there is a barrier. The other one is in a certain direction of the village. Kyan compared the memory of the map of Konoha village in his mind and the current location of the Flying Thunder God mark and knew the specific location. It is not an important place in the village, but just an ordinary residential area for villagers. Good opportunity. Kyan's eyes lit up. It is very likely that the root ninja lives alone. He didn't think much about it and used the Flying Thunder God technique and disappeared instantly. Murata, who was sleeping soundly, suddenly woke up and sensed someone behind him. He turned his head and looked over, just in time to see a pair of Sharingan emitting scarlet light in the dark room. "Is it Uchiha Kyan? How did this guy suddenly appear behind me?" Exclamation mark. In just a moment, Murata was hit by Chiga's Sharingan again. This time, Chiga only used the hypnotic ability of the Sharingan to hypnotize Murata. Looking at Murata with a dazed look, Chiga thought for a moment and asked, "What's your name?" "Hirashima Murata." "How old are you?" 25 years old. Looking at Murata who answered every question, Chiga nodded with satisfaction and then asked, "What's the matter with Shimura Danzō's right arm?" As a time traveler, Chiga certainly knew what was going on with Shimura Danzō's arm. But at this point in time, Shimura Danzō had already tied up his right arm, and Chiga also wanted to know if Sharingan had appeared on Shimura Danzō's arm at this moment. If so, where did his Sharingan come from? However, just when Murata was about to answer, Chiga felt Murata tremble all over and then fell down. And he also broke free from the control of the Sharingan because of the pain. Murata lay stiffly on the ground and asked with great effort, "Uchiha Chiga, what do you want to do?" Chiga raised his eyebrows, knowing that this had touched upon Shimura Danzō and triggered the tongue trouble routing technique. He ignored Murata's words and only increased his ability to control the illusion to regain control of Murata. After Murata recovered, Chiga thought for a moment and then said, "Write down the reason why Shimura Danzo's right arm was tied up." Hearing this, Murata stood up and found a pen and paper. When he was about to write it down, he also trembled all over. Seeing this, Chiga frowned. It seems that this tongue-troubled routing technique is not so easy to get around. Chiga asked a few more questions, some of which Murata could answer, but some of which he really couldn't. Chiga didn't care much about this. After asking all the information that could be obtained from Murata, Chiga got to the point. Chapter 85 Assassination of Danzō. Chiga's eyes glowed red, and he began to implant a memory. During this period, he had thought a lot, and the second personality that Minato mentioned also had a certain reference value. However, Chiga planned to try it according to his own ideas first. This was inspired by his opponent, Scorpion of the Red Sand. Scorpion of the Red Sand once relied on the brain to manipulate the sand, to lurk his subordinates in the enemy's camp. What Chiga had to do now was to implant a memory before Murata joined the route. In that memory, Chiga said that he was Murata's superior and arranged for Murata to enter the route as a spy. If this memory was implanted perfectly, it might be able to be mistaken for the real thing. Murata's eyes flashed with pain at this time, and his body was stiff and motionless, as if he had been played. After a while, Chiga's forehead was covered with sweat. It was much more difficult to compile a memory than imagined. Fortunately, Chiga's chakra control was not bad, so he didn't make Murata's brain into a paste. After a long time, Chiga ended his control and released the control of the Sharingan. As soon as he woke up, Murata held his head and screamed. His eyes were full of bloodshot. He raised his head with difficulty, looked at Kyan, and said hoarsely, "Damn it, what did you do to me, you evil Uchiha?" Murata wanted to say something else, but he was controlled by Kyan again. Kyan shook his head helplessly, failed. It seems that it is impossible to complete this feat relying on the two Magatama Sharingan, but Kyan doesn't care, just treat it as a practice for himself and gain some experience. This way of stirring the brain can only be done once in a short period of time, and it will take at least a few months to recover again. Murata has already seen him appear. Even if the memory is sealed, there will inevitably be accidents. In order to ensure that he will not find out, Kyan does not plan to keep Murata. But it seems a bit wasteful to kill Murata like this. Kyan thought about it and had another idea. It seems that I can only make use of waste. Saying this, Kyan used the Sharingan again, first sealing all the memories that appeared here tonight. Then he began to clean all of Murata's clothes. Finally, he bit his finger and wrote the sealing formula on Murata's body with blood. After the preliminary preparations were completed, Chiga came to Murata again, stared at Murata with his Sharingan, and whispered, "Find an opportunity to assassinate Shimura Danzō and put the blame on the third Hokage." Although he knew that Shimura Danzō and Sarutobi Hiruzen had a close relationship, Chiga also wanted to try whether they were really close. Anyway, it was just a casual thing. After performing this illusion, Chiga then suddenly slapped Murata's head with a palm and shouted again, "Liang Yi Seal." In an instant, all the spells engraved on Murata's body shrank under Chiga's palm. At the same time, the illusion performed by Chiga was also sealed in the Liang Yi Seal. When Chiga took his hand away, it had become a sealing formula. And this sealing formula is very secretive, at the root of Murata's ear. Because the root ninjas often wear robes and masks, and Murata's hair is quite long, this sealing technique cannot be found without careful inspection. The Ryuji seal will automatically unlock after 3 days, and then this illusion will take effect and control Murata. I think it should be a surprise for Shimura Danzō. By then, I have already left the village, which can eliminate a lot of my suspicion. In any case, as long as Shimura Danzō can't find evidence that it is him, there is nothing he can do to him. Not only that, Chiga also sealed a small amount of his own chakra in it. That little chakra can completely mess up Murata's brain into a paste. This can not only cover up Murata's illusion, but also erase all his memories. This is to prevent Murata from being explored after his death. After doing all this, Chiga clapped his hands. Done. Looking at Murata who fell asleep, Chiga then used the Flying Thunder God technique to leave here. And the sleeping Murata just felt that he seemed to have a nightmare, turned over and continued to sleep. He had no idea that a sealing technique had appeared in his brain. He used the Flying Thunder God technique to return to the Uchiha clan. Because he did not have the Flying Thunder God technique engraved at home, Chiga could only return to Crow Feather's nest. Once here, Chiga saw his own Crow Feather pressing on a crow. Crow Feather shuddered again. Chiga said seriously, I can actually explain this. Gap, who knew you would exercise in the middle of the night? 3 days later, at the route, Shimura Danzō sat on a chair and asked his men, is it still unclear what mission the Minato team is going to perform? Sorry, Danzō-sama, because it was a mission personally ordered by the Hokage at that time, there was no mission list, and we had no way of knowing what the mission was. Humph, a bunch of trash. Shimura Danzō cursed angrily. He knew that Sarutobi Hiruzen had warned him about the conversation that day, but when did he, Danzō, listen to advice? Besides, even if Sarutobi Hiruzen's plan succeeded, Uchiha Chiga really controlled the Nine Tails and made Uzumaki Kushina a perfect Jinchuriki. But that was also Sarutobi Hiruzen's and had nothing to do with Danzō, who was even more suppressed by Sarutobi Hiruzen. Since I can't get it, of course no one else can get it. After that day, Danzō's murderous intention towards Chiga became even stronger. Just when Shimura Danzō wanted to order his men to look for Chiga and others, Murata in the crowd suddenly shrank his pupils, and a memory came over him. Before he could react, a pair of two Magatama Sharingan flashed in his pupils. Then he fell into a daze. He took a few steps forward and said respectfully to Shimura Danzō, Danzō, I know where they went. Oh, tell me. Shimura Danzō heard the words and looked at Murata in surprise. Murata heard the words and took a few steps forward. Master Danzō, their destination for this mission is. Just as Shimura Danzō was listening attentively, Murata's face suddenly became ferocious, and he drew the samurai sword from his waist and stabbed towards Shimura Danzō with murderous intent. Shimura Danzō did not expect that he would be assassinated suddenly, and it was his own men. Looking at the blade that was already close at hand, Shimura Danzō could only twist his body to prevent the blade from piercing into the fatal part. Murata sighed when he saw that he did not kill with one blow, and then whispered to Shimura Danzō, the third Hokage said that you know too much. Chapter 86 Perverted Target. The third Hokage? Sarutobi? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Shimura Danzō's face was full of disbelief. Speaking of which, his relationship with Sarutobi Hiruzen was very complicated. From good friends at the beginning, to teammates and then to opponents. The relationship has deteriorated step by step over the past few decades, but the only thing that remains unchanged is the trust between them. Even now that they are almost enemies, Shimura Danzō has never thought of killing Sarutobi Hiruzen and becoming the Hokage himself. At least the current Shimura Danzō has not had such an idea, but the phrase you know too much is too confusing. A few days ago, Shimura Danzō had a showdown with Sarutobi Hiruzen in the Hokage's office and talked about the past. Today he was assassinated. He couldn't think too much. Could it really be Sarutobi? Go to hell. Before Shimura Danzō could think more, Murata roared, exerted force on his wrist, and wanted to dig a hole in Shimura Danzō's chest. HMPH. Shimura Danzō snorted coldly, grabbed the samurai sword with his bandaged hand, and kicked Murata away. Murata flew backwards and hit the stone wall. The severe pain made him cancel the illusion, but at the moment the illusion was cancelled, Chiga's chakra that remained in Murata's brain began to riot. Murata screamed in pain, holding his head, and stopped moving after a while. After messing up Murata's brain into a paste, Chiga's chakra dissipated completely. Danzō, are you okay? His men surrounded Shimura Danzō and asked with concern. Danzō ignored it, and the wound on his chest began to heal slowly. At this time, a root ninja who was checking Murata's body stepped forward and said to Shimura Danzō, Master Danzō, the man is dead. Moreover, his brain has become a mess. Even the Yamanaka clan can't extract any useful information. Shimura Danzō nodded without surprise. Since he had already thought of using assassination, of course there would be no loopholes. And now Shimura Danzō has regained his sanity after the initial disbelief. Investigate. We must catch the mastermind behind the scenes, and all the roots must be investigated again. Shimura Danzō said hatefully to the ninjas under his command. It has always been me, Shimura Danzō, who has been the only one to plot against others, but when has he been plotted against by others? He only needs to think about it for a while, and he knows that it was not done by Sarutobi Hiruzen. After all, the great and glorious Sarutobi Hiruzen still needs him to bear the darkness of the village. However, he still can't think of who has instigated or controlled Murata, and actually used such a despicable method to deal with him. After all, he has done too many things, not to mention other countries. Even in this village, there are many families who hate him. There are too many enemies, and it is really impossible to screen them all in a short time. A small town in the land of hot springs. Negative emotions from Danzō Shimura. Emotion value plus 99. This sudden income of emotion value made Chiga laugh. It seems that Murata has executed his plan perfectly. Although he failed to kill the scourge Danzō Shimura, Chiga was still very happy to cause some trouble for Danzō Shimura. This is just the beginning. When he has the ability, he must control the entire route in his hands. Then when Minato comes to power, he will let this group of people carry Danzō to stage a coup. Chiga, why are you smiling so sinisterly? Kakashi looked at Chiga's smile and shuddered inexplicably. He always felt that there was an inexplicable chill in Chiga's smile. Nothing, I just suddenly want to soak in the hot spring again, and I'm looking forward to it. Chiga said perfunctorily. Okay, although the task of finding Jiraiya Sensei is indeed a rare leisure task, we have to do the real work first, and then manage our own time. Minato said, and then pointed to the bottomless hot spring street, and said, let's search this street today, and then take a hot spring bath in the evening. Minato Sensei, where does Jiraiya Sensei often appear? Although Kakashi knew something about Jiraiya's character, he was definitely not as deep as Minato. And he still had a filter for the three ninjas at this moment. Even though he knew that there were rumors in the village that the three ninjas had their own shortcomings, they should not be without bottom line. However, Minato quickly broke his first filter. 3 seconds after Kakashi finished speaking, Minato whispered, women's bath Minato sensei, even at my age, I would be regarded as a pervert if I entered the women's bath. Kakashi rolled his eyes and almost threw his hands and quit. Minato quickly explained, don't get me wrong, I'm not asking you to enter the women's bath. I mean the places around the women's bath, where people can hide. For example, wooden boxes, wine barrels, trash cans, and bushes, etc. Especially the small bushes around the women's bath, should be carefully checked. Jiraiya's bush squatting technique is very hidden. Minato seriously explained the secret of finding Jiraiya to Chiga and Kakashi. Kakashi regained his composure, but still complained, this still makes us look like perverts. It's not us who are perverted, it's our target. Chiga was also powerless to complain. Fortunately, the two of them were still young, so even if they were around the women's bath, they would not be regarded as hooligans. Minato senpai, are you going to hang around the women's bath like us? Chiga asked Minato. Minato said seriously, I'm sorry, if I appear near the women's bath at my age I will really be regarded as a pervert. Chiga looked at Minato with disdain. You have become Jiraiya's disciple, don't care about your reputation outside. Anyway, when others hear that you are Jiraiya's disciple, they will definitely think that a good teacher produces a good student, and a disciple is better than the master. Minato ignored Chiga's eyes, but continued to say seriously, in addition to the area near the women's bath, Jiraiya teacher also likes to go to Izakayas, Kabukicho and other places. I will go there to look for him. TSK. It seems that after Minato came to the land of hot springs, he is ready to let himself go. Has he forgotten someone in Konoha village? Chiga laughed sinisterly. Don't talk nonsense, you two are not suitable to be in that kind of place. Chiga, you must explain to Kushina for me, when you go back, that I sacrificed myself to complete the mission. You don't know the horror of these places. The young ladies in there, the women in there are like wolves and tigers, and the men who go in will be squeezed dry. You are still young, and only I, the team leader, can block this pain for you. Minato replied seriously, and when he said the latter part, he was completely righteous. Chapter 87 Accident. Minato spoke righteously and shed tears, as if he was thinking about Chiga and Kakashi. However, Chiga didn't believe a single punctuation mark. Someone who could be valued by Jiraiya, the old pervert, must not be that simple. Chiga was sure of it. Minato saw that no one responded after he finished speaking, so he could only look down at Chiga and Kakashi, but when he looked down, he happened to look at Chiga, who had opened his Sharingan. Minato was shocked and asked in surprise, "Why do you open your eyes, Chiga?" Chiga sneered when he heard this. "If I didn't open my eyes, how could I see the excitement, shyness, pity, and spring in your selfless eyes? Wait, why is there still pity? Minato-senpai, do you still want to play the drama of a young man saving a young lady who has fallen into trouble? Nonsense. I just pity myself for having to sacrifice myself to this extent for the two of you. You two, hurry up and look for it. If you don't search, you won't have time to soak in the hot spring today." Minato immediately retorted, and then urged Chiga and Kakashi to leave quickly. The country of hot springs is not very big, but even if it is not big, it is still a bit difficult to find someone. A week later, in a female bath in the country of hot springs. In the mist, many graceful figures are looming. Water droplets with foam and a faint scent of cherry blossoms splashed up, shining in the sun, gorgeous like a dream. Wow, yours is so big. Do you have any secret recipe? The secret recipe is to let your man rub it more. Hehe. Hate it. The sound of the women talking and the splashing water was enough to make people imagine and blush. However, Chiga and Kakashi outside the house were expressionless and indifferent. After all, after listening to it for a week, even the most thirsty men would become immune. "Are you still taking a hot spring bath tonight?" Kakashi asked weakly. "Don't talk to me about hot springs. Quit." After taking a hot spring bath for a week, Chiga felt that he had peeled off a layer of skin. He kicked the grass beside him, hoping to see some unscrupulous white-haired old ghost jump out. After searching the women's bath, Chiga and Kakashi returned to the street and stopped at the place where they had an appointment with Minato. While the two were waiting for Minato, Chiga suddenly noticed a strong man with a lewd smile walking into a pink barber shop, and 3 minutes later saw the strong man walking out with a satisfied smile. Kyan immediately showed a look of disdain. "So fast. He looks so big, but he is useless. What are you looking at?" Kakashi followed Kyan's gaze and looked over, then said with disdain, "You don't want to try it too? Didn't you notice?" Kyan glanced at Kakashi and asked. Seeing this, Kakashi's face also showed a trace of seriousness, and asked, "What's the problem?" "He is too fast, and there is no chakra fluctuation." Kyan pointed at the middle-aged strong man who just walked out of the small hair salon and said, "Huh?" Kakashi was stunned. What does too fast mean? And what is chakra fluctuation? How can he, a 6-year-old boy, understand these things? Idiot, have you read the book I gave you carefully? Kyan said with great pain. Asshole, don't say such things in public. Kakashi blushed immediately after hearing this, and quickly covered Kyan's mouth, fearing that this guy would say nonsense. Kyan pried Kakashi's hand apart, and then asked with contempt, "Did you only look at the pictures in the book, and didn't read the plot? Why don't you mind your own business?" Kakashi's face darkened, and he asked back, "You know so much, have you finished reading it a long time ago?" His mind was already filled with exposed scenes, so why would he go out of his way to read the dialogue between the characters? Hey, Kyan sighed, and then explained to Kakashi, "There is a plot in the book that says that a ninja was having an affair with a woman, and because he was too happy, he couldn't control his chakra, and it happened that the woman's husband was a perception ninja, and then he found out, and then it was a popular threesome. Now that you mention it, I remember that there is indeed such a paragraph." Kakashi also suddenly realized that he thought this kind of book was just a manifestation of self-degradation, but he didn't expect that there would be such an knowledge point in it. "I've learned a lesson. I have to buy a sequel when I go back. Bah, it's learning." Kyan stood up and followed the middle-aged strong man. "Chiga, please don't make things complicated. Our mission this time is just to find Jiraiya-sama." Kakashi stopped in front of Chiga and said hesitantly, "I've been looking for a week, and I can't even see a ghost. If I go to a place like the women's bath again, I'm afraid I will be impotent in the future." Chiga said unhappily, and then said, "Don't worry, I just want to ask the other party what he is doing here. I won't kill him, and I'm quite proficient in using the Sharingan. I shouldn't be discovered. Hearing this, Kakashi also dispelled his hesitation and did not stop Chiga's actions. The two followed the middle-aged strong man quietly, and when there was no one around, Chiga took a few steps forward. He pretended to be pitiful and said, "This uncle, please be kind and give me some money." The middle-aged strong man heard this, and his face immediately showed an impatient expression. He just turned his head and wanted to say something, but he met Chiga's Sharingan. Which country's ninja? The Land of Earth. Chiga heard this and suddenly realized that it was no wonder that the sturdy man was so big. He turned out to be an Iwagakure ninja. TSK, this is an old acquaintance. He drove them to the ground in the land of rivers and almost exposed his flying thunder god technique. Now that he has fallen into his hands, he must make trouble for the Iwagakure ninja. Chiga then asked, "What are you doing here?" "Receive intelligence." "Where's the intelligence?" The middle-aged sturdy man took out a piece of intelligence from his arms and handed it to Chiga. Taking the intelligence scroll from the middle-aged sturdy man, Chiga opened it and found that it was all densely packed with tadpole characters, and he was immediately dizzy. Waving to Kakashi, Chiga said, "Kakashi, come here quickly. There is a secret code on it. I can't understand it." "Who asked you to graduate early?" Kakashi rolled his eyes at Chiga, and then he looked carefully. Each country has its own secret code, and Kakashi can't analyze all the secret codes in a short time. He can only focus on analyzing them. The target bathing colored old man appeared in the land of hot springs and was sealed and brought back. Even though the translation was fragmentary, Chiga and Kakashi had already heard something. They are here to find Jiraiya. Chapter 88 Large Ceiling Technique. After a while, Kakashi finally finished deciphering the secret code and said to Chiga in a serious tone, "Although the translation of the secret code is not comprehensive, the general meaning is that the rock ninjas have discovered that the target, that is, the old man, appeared in the snow mountain bathing place of the land of hot springs and have sent a blasting team to capture him and also brought a sealing ninja to seal the target and bring it back to the land of Earth." Although the secret code did not explicitly say that it was Jiraiya, but the old man was too pointed. Jiraiya is only middle-aged now, but his white hair makes him look too old. As for why the land of Earth is targeting Jiraiya, there is no need to explain this. As a high-end combat force in Konoha village, if he can be solved secretly, it will obviously be a good thing for other countries. What's more, Jiraiya is alone, and it is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Not to mention that the rock ninjas discovered it. Other countries would also do the same. "Chiga, let him go," Kakashi said, putting away the scroll and putting it back in the arms of the rock ninja. "Okay, let's go find Minato teacher and report this to him." Chiga understood Kakashi's move. This was to avoid alerting the enemy. After all, if this ninja died or lost information, it would be easy for people to guess the problem. At this moment, they were in the dark, so they could better support Jiraiya. Afterwards, Chiga used the power of the Sharingan to make the Iwagakure forget what happened before, and then he and Kakashi found Minato, who was still hanging out in Kabukicho. Chiga saw that, although Minato was chatting happily with the young lady, his behavior did not exceed the limit. He felt a little regretful that he did not catch Minato's handle. Then he said, "Senior Minato, don't indulge in it, something big has happened." Hearing this, Minato immediately took Chiga and Kakashi away from Kabukicho, and then asked, "What happened?" At this time, Kakashi told Minato everything about how they suddenly found the base of the Iwagakure and watched the intelligence scroll of the Iwagakure. After listening to it, Minato's face also sank. It seems that even Minato, who would not get angry easily, showed murderous intentions when it came to his close ones. He did not say much, but directly used the summoning technique to summon a communication toad. "Gamazi, please inform Jiraiya. I have something urgent to ask him." Gamazi shook his head and said, "No." Jiraiya said that he did not want to be disturbed during the period when he was collecting materials. He has not even summoned our clan for a long time. Damn it. Minato could only curse his teacher for being unreliable, and he even did not use the summoning technique for a long time. Since there was no way to notify Jiraiya, the three of them could only rush to the snow mountain bathing beach to support Jiraiya. The situation was urgent, and the three of them set off overnight, and a day later they arrived at the town of the Snow Mountain bathing beach mentioned in the Rock Ninja intelligence scroll. At this moment, the town was silent, and black smoke was rising from the direction of the Snow Mountain bathing beach. Uchiha and the other two saw it, and immediately understood that Jiraiya had already fought with the Rock Ninja. The three of them immediately quickened their pace until they were close to the battlefield. Then they slowed down, began to hide their figures, and slowly approached. After a while, the three of them hid in a ruin. At this moment, the battle had subsided. It's over so soon. Minato was puzzled, but he thought that his teacher was obsessed with collecting materials and was tricked by the Rock Ninja, so he only fought for a while before the fire was extinguished. Thinking of this, Minato's face looked even more anxious. He looked through the cracks in the wall and looked at the center of the battlefield. 5 blasting teams, plus 15 sealing ninjas. This is indeed a big scene. Uchiha and the other two first ignored the blasting team on guard outside and looked at the sealing ninjas in the middle. The dozen or so sealing ninjas formed a circle, which was filled with dense sealing techniques, and in the middle was a figure wrapped tightly in bandages. This group of people are completing the last step of the sealing technique. Oh my god. Did Master Jiraiya break the law of heaven by using such a large-scale sealing technique? Uchiha carefully observed it. Based on the sealing techniques he learned from Kushina, the opponent's sealing technique could not only seal Jiraiya, but also make the tailed beasts kneel down. Teacher Jiraiya is very powerful. It's not surprising that he uses such a sealing technique. Minato, who also has a deep attainment in sealing techniques, also saw the power of this sealing technique. He nodded in agreement and praised his teacher. By the way, what should we do now? The opponent has 5 blasting teams. It's not so easy to break in and destroy the seal. Uchiha asked Minato. Minato thought for a while and said to Uchiha and Kakashi in a deep voice, I will hold back these 5 blasting teams, and you two go to rescue Teacher Jiraiya. Teacher Minato. Kakashi shouted worriedly. At the beginning, the 3 blasting teams chased them to the sky and the earth, not to mention the 5 blasting teams. Don't worry, I was trying to escape, and I wasn't in good shape. Minato comforted him. I can't say I can kill them all now, but it's no problem to just contain them. In order to save Jiraiya, Minato was willing to risk his life. Seeing Kakashi about to say something, Uchiha stopped him. Uchiha also possessed the Flying Thunder God technique, and he knew the power of this space-time ninjutsu. If it was a fight to the death, Minato might not be able to survive against the 5th demolition team, but if it was to contain them, there would be no problem at all. After all, the Flying Thunder God technique was too flexible, and Minato's reaction nerves made it no problem to avoid danger. Once the plan was finalized, the 3 of them began to act. In order to create an opportunity for Minato, Uchiha took the lead. He quickly formed seals with both hands, and then shouted softly, Fire style, Great Fire Dragon technique. In an instant, a fire dragon spewed out of Uchiha's mouth. The Rock Ninja had also noticed the movement, but when they looked over, they saw a huge fire dragon roaring over. Enemy attack. The leading Iwagakure shouted, and then slapped his hands on the ground. Earth style, Earth flow wall. Several earth walls rose from the ground and blocked the fire dragon. However, at this moment, he suddenly saw several kunai attacking. Before he could figure out what these kunai were used for, Minato had already appeared in front of one of the kunai. Minato grabbed the kunai and directly cut the throat of one of the Iwagakure ninjas who had no time to react. Looking at Minato who suddenly appeared, the leading Iwagakure ninja's face changed and said with murderous intent, Ninjas from Konoha. Do you want to destroy the peace agreement? Shouldn't we be the ones saying this? Hearing this, Minato's face turned cold. The damn Iwagakure ninjas even wanted to conceal their targeting of Teacher Jiraiya to this extent. Unbearable. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89, Not Soundproof. Minato, firing at full power, shuttled back and forth in the battlefield like a flash of lightning. In just a moment, he had killed 3 rock ninjas. Damn it, Flying Thunder God Technique. Here's Minato Namake's. The use of Flying Thunder God Technique also exposed Minato's intelligence. The leading rock ninja was not a pushover and soon found a way to target Minato. HMPH. Don't panic. The combat plan against this person has also been studied by the operations department. The opponent's means of attack are very scarce. Use the hardening technique. After all, it was a ninjutsu developed by the second generation Hokage, Senjuta Birama, and even if they couldn't learn it secretly, they would have studied it. The rock ninjas used the hardening technique on him one by one, and formed a swastika formation in groups of 3 to guard against Minato's attack. Seeing this, Minato knew that it was difficult for him to kill the rock ninjas anymore. However, his main purpose was not to kill, but just to contain him. As long as this lasted for a while, he believed that Chiga and Kakashi would be able to break the ceiling ninjutsu. However, this battle also made Minato more determined to develop a powerful ninjutsu that could cooperate with the Flying Thunder God technique. Just as Minato was entangled with the rock ninja, Chiga and Kakashi had already arrived at the sealed ninja. Facing the arrival of Chiga and Kakashi, this group of sealed ninjas turned a deaf ear and only focused on the sealed targets. It seemed that the sealed ninja technique had reached the most critical moment. Kakashi's eyes lit up, and he picked up the short knife and prepared to chop one up. Wait. Seeing this, Chiga stopped Kakashi in time. What are you doing? If you don't stop them, they will complete the sealing technique, and Minato teacher is still holding back the rock ninja for us, so there is no time to hesitate. In the past, Kakashi would not be so uncalm, but his teacher was there to help them hold back the 5th team of blasting team. This pressure was too great, and he also wanted to end this quickly, so that the 3 of them could get out of the battle quickly. Kion didn't say anything, but just stretched his hand forward. Suddenly, a ripple appeared between his fingers, accompanied by an arc of light, and a tingling sensation appeared on his fingers. Seeing this barrier, it not only prevented the enemy from entering, but also attacked the enemy who touched it. Good guy. This group of ninjas were well prepared when they came. In order to avoid accidentally interrupting the seal, they even set up a barrier. Seeing this, Kakashi was sweating coldly. If he suddenly jumped on it, he would probably be electrocuted. Seeing Kion being so careful, the group of sealing ninjas cursed in their hearts. Konoha's education was really good. Such a young kid actually had this awareness. Kion also learned about the barrier when he was learning the sealing ninjutsu with Kushina. After all, the barrier is actually a kind of sealing ninjutsu. It was for this reason that Kion was able to discover the existence of the barrier here before Kakashi. Putting the whole palm in front of the barrier, Kion mobilized the chakra in his body, sensed it slightly, and frowned immediately. How is it? Kakashi asked. It's a bit troublesome. The strength of this barrier is very high, and its sealing formula is on the 15 sealed ninjas inside. It is impossible to break the barrier by breaking the formula. It can only be destroyed violently, but the source of the power of this barrier is still the 15 sealed ninjas inside. In other words, if we want to break it violently, the 2 of us will have to compete with the 15 of them in chakra volume. Kakashi heard this, and his heart suddenly sank. He knew his own chakra volume, which was just above that of a Chunin. At most, it was equivalent to one of the sealed ninjas inside. And Chiga's chakra volume was indeed a lot, but it was impossible for it to exceed that of 14 ninjas. When the sealed ninjas inside saw Chiga's words, they also made a triumphant mocking sound. Little brat from Konoha, not bad. You can actually sense the composition of this barrier in a moment. This is a barrier that our Land of Earth spent 3 years to develop. It is said to be an absolute defense that cannot be broken from the outside. Before we get into trouble, even if the shadow comes, don't think about breaking it. Damn it. Kakashi cursed immediately after hearing this. He didn't expect that they were only one step away from being stopped by the barrier. However, Chiga just looked at the sealed ninja who was speaking in surprise. No soundproofing? Huh? What's the point of soundproofing? The sealed ninja was stunned. At this time, Chiga had summoned hundreds of crows, and they formed a circle outside the barrier. Little brat, what do you want to do? This time, the sealed ninja inside couldn't sit still. He suddenly had a bad feeling. Haha. A barrier with such obvious disadvantages can also take you 3 years to develop, Chiga said sarcastically. No wonder teacher Kushina told him that compared to the Konoha sealing class that she had trained, the sealing classes of other countries were no different from decorations. As the crows opened their mouths and began to cry, Kyan shouted softly, "Crow secret technique, 100 Crows funeral." The noisy sound instantly turned into a pleasant song, as if people were intoxicated by it. Illusion? The face of the sealed ninja suddenly changed drastically. He didn't expect to meet a Konoha ninja who could perform sound-based illusion here. It was really a ghost. "Close your hearing, don't listen," the sealed ninja yelled. However, although the sealed ninjas can use chakra to close their hearing, they still have to maintain the sealing ninjutsu. And they also have to maintain the barrier. This is not something that everyone can do. After a while, there were already sealed ninjas who could not bear the pressure brought by these three parties and were forced to accept the invasion of illusions, holding their heads and screaming. As the number of people decreased, the sealing technique was forced to be interrupted. The sealing techniques written on the ground were already looming, and the barrier began to flicker. At this point, the sealed ninjas had already realized that their sealing technique could no longer be maintained. "Kakashi, do it." Seeing this, Chiga immediately increased his chakra. In an instant, the crows cried loudly, becoming more and more sharp, as if an invisible force pierced the eardrums of the sealed ninjas fiercely. Their faces became more and more ugly, and they covered their ears tightly with their hands, but this could not alleviate the unbearable pain. In the end, all the sealed ninjas could not bear it. They screamed, covered their ears with their hands, and squatted on the ground. At this time, Kakashi came to the middle of the large-scale sealing technique in a few instants, picked up Jiraiya who was wrapped like a cicada pupa, and ran towards Chiga. While running, he shouted to Minato, "Minato teacher, we succeeded, retreat quickly." This shout not only attracted the attention of Minato, but also attracted the attention of the rock ninjas. When they saw the target in Kakashi's hand, they all went crazy. "Damn brat, put him down. Kill him. We can't let them take him back to Konoha." Chapter 90 Who let you graduate early? At this moment, the rock ninjas gave up on Minato and aimed at Kakashi. Kakashi's face changed drastically. He was not Minato's teacher, and he was not capable of facing so many rock ninjas. And looking at the red eyes of the rock ninjas, it was obvious that they were determined to kill him regardless of life and death. Chiga, who was near Kakashi, was not much better. Unexpectedly, when Kakashi touched Jiraiya, the rock ninjas would have a collective climax. Is Jiraiya, the old pervert, so important to them? Are they attracted by Jiraiya's full-level bush squatting technique? Without time to think about it, Chiga threw a special kunai in the direction of Minato. Then he shouted to Kakashi, "Follow me, run." Hearing this, Kakashi carried Jiraiya on his back and followed Chiga. Minato originally wanted to support Chiga and the other two, but when he saw the kunai flying towards him, his eyes froze. This is the Flying Thunder God seal. Chiga learned the Flying Thunder God technique? How is it possible? It took him half a year to learn it. How long has Chiga learned the Flying Thunder God technique? Minato was slightly shocked, but he also understood Chiga's thoughts. Out of trust in Chiga, Minato believed that Chiga had learned the Flying Thunder God technique, and grabbed a kunai, used the Flying Thunder God technique and left here. He knew that Chiga was a little out of tune at ordinary times, but obviously he would not joke at such a critical moment. At this time, under the delay of the sealed ninja, the rock ninjas had surrounded Chiga and Kakashi. Chiga glanced in the direction of Minato and found that Minato had disappeared, and he breathed a sigh of relief. Then he took Kakashi's hand and used the Flying Thunder God technique to leave here. Originally, he thought that he had surrounded the Konoha ninjas and the target would not be lost. He was about to say something harsh, but he didn't expect that there was someone here who could also use the Flying Thunder God technique. The leading rock ninja was stunned. Then a deafening roar broke out. "Find them. Even if we have to dig 3 feet deep in the land of Kuni, we must find them. If we catch them, I will grind them to dust." Thousands of meters away. Even though they were thousands of meters away from the battlefield, Chiga and the other two could still faintly hear the roar of the rock ninja. TSK, if this guy knew the sound-based illusion, he would definitely be a good hand. Chiga looked in the direction of the rock ninja and said regretfully, Minato rolled his eyes at Chiga, suppressed the thought of asking, when Chiga learned the Flying Thunder God technique, and said, "Don't be naughty, it's not safe here yet, retreat first, find a safe place, and then unlock the seal of teacher Jiraiya." The three nodded, and Minato didn't care about the chakra in his body, and used the Flying Thunder God technique to take Chiga and Kakashi away. After using the Flying Thunder God technique for more than 30 times, Minato finally stopped. Minato was eating a pill on the side. He looked at Chiga and asked in disbelief, "Chiga, when did you learn the Flying Thunder God technique?" 3 days after I learned the Flying Thunder God technique. Chiga made up a random excuse and changed the subject. "Minato-senpai, do you want to untie Jiraiya's bandages now?" Minato saw that Chiga didn't want to elaborate, so he didn't ask, but just nodded. The three of them began to untie the bandages on Jiraiya's body. However, as the bandages were removed layer by layer, Minato's joyful eyes, that were originally about to see his teacher, gradually became strange. The human pupa was obviously more than 2 meters tall, but after the bandages were removed, it was only about 1.5 meters tall. Jiraiya's height is about 1.9 meters. If it was Jiraiya in here, his legs would have been cut off. Finally, the face of the person inside was revealed. The person inside was naked from the waist up, wearing an Iwagakure forehead protector on his head, and the hair at the back was tied into a small technique like a ponytail, and he had a big beard. Who is this? From the ninja forehead protector on his head, it can be seen that the other party is still a member of the Rock Ninja. But is it necessary for the Rock Ninja to make such a big scene in the land of hot water, to deal with their own people? Just when Minato and Kakashi were still confused, Chiga had already recalled the identity of this person from his mind, and immediately exclaimed, "Oh, no wonder the Rock Ninja wants to turn us into ashes. The foretells Jinchuriki of the Land of Earth, Leoshi. Do you know who he is?" Minato looked at Chiga in confusion. As the Jinchuriki of the Land of Earth, Leoshi's identity is also a secret. Minato carefully recalled the memories in his mind, and didn't know who this person was. Ahem, I don't know who he is, but I should have guessed his identity. Chiga thought for a while and explained, "I thought it was strange before. Do you need to use such a strong sealing technique to deal with Master Jiraiya? After all, that sealing technique can seal the tailed beasts." So, after Chiga's reminder, Minato and Kakashi also reacted, and their faces suddenly showed expressions of astonishment. The seal technique that can seal the tailed beasts, then the identity of this person should be the Jinchuriki. This is really a big trouble. He took away their nuclear weapons in front of the Rock Ninja, who would go crazy. This is still a guess. In order to confirm, Minato put his palm on Leozi's exposed chest and used chakra to sense Leozi's body. In an instant, Minato sensed an evil chakra and even felt a huge monkey roaring at him. Minato was shocked. What a guy, it really is. He quickly made a few complicated seals and pressed on Leozi's abdomen. 4-symbol seal. After doing this, Minato breathed a sigh of relief and said to Chiga and Kakashi, "It's confirmed. It's the foretells Jinchuriki. It shouldn't be. How could it be a Jinchuriki?" The secret code clearly said that it was a perverted old man who went in and out of the bathhouse. Kakashi said in confusion. He was the one who deciphered the secret code, which means that this misunderstanding was caused by him. At this moment, Kakashi even understood a little bit how serious the consequences of wrong intelligence would be. They risked their lives to save Jiraiya, but they didn't expect that they were actually destroying the Rock Ninja's seal of their own Jinchuriki. Heh, who told you to graduate early? Chiga stabbed his heart with a knife, avenging Kakashi's previous ridicule. Kakashi's face turned red when he heard this. This really proved the old saying that sooner or later you will have to pay for what you have done. Minato looked at Kakashi and comforted him. "Don't worry, it's still a little difficult to crack the secret code of the Rock Ninja. Maybe you missed some key information when you translated it." At this point, Minato pointed at Leozi and said in a difficult sentence, "Besides, this guy really looks like a lecherous old man." From the red lipstick mark on the exposed chest, plus the slight smell of perfume on Leozi, Minato knew that this guy was not a serious person either. He is a perfect match for teacher Jiraiya. Chiga also nodded. He remembered that Leozi was a wandering monk, and he ended up wandering to a place of entertainment. Chapter 91 Sarutobi Hiruzen's Expectations. But why would the Jinchuriki leave the village? Minato was puzzled. The Jinchuriki is a nuclear weapon of a big country, and they will definitely not let them out. Chiga knew that this guy seemed to have left the land of Earth because he had a bad relationship with the third Tsuchikage Inoki. I didn't expect it to be at this juncture. And the third Tsuchikage naturally couldn't let the Jinchuriki leave the village. So he secretly sent ninjas to capture him, but he didn't expect that they would be stopped by them by mistake. The most important thing is that their identity as Konoha ninjas was clearly told to the Iwagakure. If this matter is not handled well, it will be a war. Chiga asked, what should we do next, Minato-senpai? Take it back, it's all in your hands. Even if you go back now and say we made a mistake, those crazy Iwagakure won't believe it. Minato rubbed his eyebrows and felt that it would be better for the village to handle this matter. Generally speaking, if you want to target the Jinchuriki of another country, you will do it in secret. Even if you are discovered, you will say something like it's not me, I just picked it up while strolling on the roadside. As long as there is no flaw in the open, the other party has no choice but to swallow the bitter pill and spend money to redeem the Jinchuriki. Of course, another option is to start a war. As long as you win, you can not only get the Jinchuriki back, but also get war compensation. But no one who is more rational will make this choice. After all, there are 5 major countries in the ninja world. A single move can affect the whole body. But the problem now is that the four-tailed Jinchuriki was taken away by Kaien and the other 2 in front of the rock ninja. Even if it is a delicate and weak girl, she will not suffer such a loss, let alone the hot-tempered third Tsuchikage. He will even use this as an excuse to counterattack Konoha. Of course, this is not a problem that Kaien and others need to consider. They just need to take this trouble back. Leave the headache to the third Hokage. What is the shadow of a village? Of course, it is to take the blame. Chiga and the other 2 have already discussed that if they are caught by the rock ninja in advance, they will say that it was the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen who asked them to do so. Sarutobi Hiruzen, I thank your whole family. They can't stay in the land of hot water anymore. Chiga and the other 2 are going to travel overnight and try to get back to Konoha village in the shortest time. As for Chiga and the other 2's B-level mission to bring Jiraiya back, to some extent, they have already completed it. In the land of hot water, the four-tails Jinchuriki was taken away by the Konoha ninja, and the rock ninja will definitely block the land of hot water as solid as a rock. Not to mention the ninjas of Konoha, even the flies that flew over from the land of fire will be caught and interrogated, and then beaten to death on the spot. Jiraiya will definitely not be able to stay under such martial law. While Chiga and the other 2 were rushing back, Minato had to suffer again. He felt his body was hollowed out from using the Flying Thunder God technique to travel. When he returned to Konoha, he looked skinny again. Hokage's office. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at the dusty Chiga and the other 2 in surprise, and then paid special attention to Minato's expression. TSK, it's exactly the same as when he came back from Koinokuni. What? When I asked you to find someone, there was still a little accident? Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't ask much, just looked at the four-tails Jinchuriki who was tied up again, raised his eyebrows and said, hey, you tied Jiraiya back. Before Minato could explain, Sarutobi Hiruzen said in a gratified tone, not bad, tied well. Jiraiya is really a troublesome bastard. He thought Jiraiya was unwilling to come back, and Minato put his own interests aside and tied him back directly. However, Minato quickly broke his fantasy and said, third Hokage, this is not Jiraiya teacher. Huh? What is that? Sarutobi Hiruzen was stunned and then asked, wait, what accident did you encounter again? That third Hokage, please listen to our explanation. Hearing this, Minato's face was also full of embarrassment. He did not hide anything and told Sarutobi Hiruzen everything. When Sarutobi Hiruzen heard that the four-tailed Jinchuriki was inside this human cocoon, his hand stroking his beard trembled and he pulled out a tuft of his beard. He looked at Chiga and the other 2 with his teeth bared. If I remember correctly, they brought back 2 swords from the 7 ninja swords of the land of water the first time. Now they have brought back the four-tailed Jinchuriki of the land of earth. What will it be next time? A cage. When Minato and Kakashi formed a team before, Sarutobi Hiruzen had never seen Minato's team be so powerful. How come the chemical reaction among the three is so strong after adding Chiga? Sarutobi Hiruzen pulled down his bamboo hat, and with a hint of expectation in his tone, he asked, Minato, are you going to rest for a few days before starting the mission? How about going to the land of lightning this time? The third Raikage, that bastard, called me an old man a few days ago. I'm looking forward to his visit to Konoha. Chiga and the other two rolled their eyes at Sarutobi Hiruzen when they heard this. Do you think we are the Dragon Balls? Can we make wishes? Ahem. Let's talk business. Who is this Four-Tails Jinchuriki? Sarutobi Hiruzen also has information about the Jinchuriki of various countries, but basically there are several suspected characters, and few are confirmed. Among them, the Four-Tails Jinchuriki is unknown. So Sarutobi Hiruzen also became curious at this moment. Third Hokage, I have never seen this person, so I don't know who he is. Minato heard this and said, then untied the straps of the Four-Tails Jinchuriki. I have already put the 4-symbol seal on him. With the seal technique he already has, he should not be able to remove the seal. In this regard, Sarutobi Hiruzen also trusted Minato's seal technique. When he saw the person inside, he suddenly realized, it's Laozi. The other party is indeed the more suspicious one in our intelligence. As he said that, Sarutobi Hiruzen had already stood up and put his hand on Laozi. After finding that Laozi had been covered with many seal techniques, Sarutobi Hiruzen made sure that Laozi would not remove the seal, and then used chakra to remove Laozi's sleeping state. Anoki, you bastard, don't even think about me. Laozi started to curse the third Tsuchikage as soon as he woke up, and before he finished speaking, he saw a smiling old face, but it was definitely not the face of the third Tsuchikage. And according to the word fire on the bamboo hat, Laozi was immediately confused. I just took a nap, and the land of earth was conquered by the land of fire. Laozi looked around in disbelief. Strange rooms, strange people. The only similarity was the third Hokage's fox-like smile, which was exactly the same as Inoki's. Old Z breathed a sigh of relief. Well, he came to the wrong place. Chapter 92, Jiraiya's first appearance. After Laozi reacted, he took a step back cautiously, distanced himself from Sarutobi Hiruzen, and then put his hand on his abdomen to feel the four-tails in his body. However, with multiple seals, it was difficult to communicate with the four-tails, let alone the chakra of the four-tails. What did you do to me? Laozi asked solemnly when he saw the mess of seals in his body. Sarutobi Hiruzen first waved his hand to stop Minato's attempt to control Laozi. Although Sarutobi Hiruzen is now wearing the Hokage costume, he is only a little taller than Laozi. But if they really fight, 10 Laozi together are not enough for Sarutobi Hiruzen to beat. So Sarutobi Hiruzen has enough confidence to subdue Laozi, who cannot exert the power of the tailed beast, in an instant. After thinking for a while, Sarutobi Hiruzen showed Laozi a kind smile and said, don't be nervous. Four-Tails Jinchuriki Laozi, I want to say that your appearance here is an accident. Do you believe it? Laozi didn't say anything, but just replied with an expression of do you think I'm an idiot? I don't believe you, you old man, you are so bad. His identity has been exposed, and you still say that it was an accident for him to come to Konoha village and appear in the Hokage's office? Sure enough, compared to hypocrisy, Inoki has to admit defeat. If he didn't know that he couldn't beat the other party, he would have gone up to hit Sarutobi Hiruzen with a stick. Seeing this, Sarutobi Hiruzen knew that his explanation was useless and immediately lost the mind to communicate with Laozi. Waving his hand, he summoned Tuandu to come in front of him and then said to Laozi, no matter what, it is a fact that you came to Konoha Ninja Village. A guest from afar is a guest. I think you should also know that Konoha will not do anything to you. As long as you cooperate, I guarantee in the name of Hokage that you will return to the land of earth alive. Sarutobi Hiruzen made this guarantee. Of course, his guarantee only guarantees that Laozi can return to the land of earth alive, but whether he will be missing arms and legs is hard to say. I should have no choice. Laozi also understood Sarutobi Hiruzen's plan and immediately showed a helpless expression, but he was relieved in his heart. As long as he can stay alive, that's enough. As for the price to be paid, that's something the third Hokage needs to consider. What does it have to do with me? He was originally at odds with the third Hokage Inoki. He would be happy to cause some trouble for Inoki. Moreover, if Inoki hadn't asked the rock ninja to attack him secretly, he should be in a gentle place at this moment. Thinking of this, Laozi also smiled bitterly. What kind of evil did he do? It was okay to be beaten by his own family, but when he woke up, he was in the village of the enemy country again. Laozi swore in his heart that, if he could return to the land of Earth alive this time, he would be self-disciplined and polite, and become a pious wandering monk. After letting the Anbu take Laozi away, and entertain him well, Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Chigga and the other two. This time, the merit of bringing back the Four Tails Jinchuriki is much greater than before. Sarutobi Hiruzen has to think carefully about what reward to give to Minato's team. While he was thinking, Minato's face suddenly moved, and then he said to Sarutobi Hiruzen, "Third Hokage, Gameu from Mount Maiboku has contacted me. It should be Jiraiya who has passed on the message." Sarutobi Hiruzen heard this and said, "Summon him and tell Jiraiya to come back as soon as possible. The land of hot springs is not safe now." Minato nodded and summoned Gameu. However, there was actually another toad with Gameu. Toad hiding technique. As the toad opened its mouth, a hand stretched out from its mouth. Jiraiya was similar to the one in the anime, but much younger. He was tall and had a forehead protector with the word oil on it. His long white hair fell to his waist, and there was a red mark under his closed eyes. When he was young, Jiraiya looked far from the decadent feeling of a middle-aged person. He looked a little handsome. However, Chigga was a little disgusted by the way Jiraiya appeared. There was no difference between growing a person from a toad's mouth and growing a person from a snake's mouth. No wonder Jiraiya and Orochimaru have been entangled for so many years. At least they have the same hobbies. Just when Jiraiya came out of the toad's mouth, Chigga pulled Minato's sleeve and asked, "We have completed this B-level mission, right?" Minato didn't say much, just nodded. Jiraiya came out and was delighted when he saw that he was in the Hokage's office. He ignored Minato and shouted to Sarutobi Hiruzen, "Old man, something big has happened. I don't know why the rock ninja has gone crazy and blocked the land of hot springs." Sarutobi Hiruzen heard this and replied unhappily, "I sent someone to do it. How come it affected your peeping into the women's bath in the land of hot springs?" Jiraiya froze. He originally thought it was important information, so he rushed back through the reverse summoning technique. Unexpectedly, as soon as they met, Sarutobi Hiruzen said something to him. Old man, what have you done? They are arresting anyone they see who is suspicious now." Jiraiya asked with confusion. Sarutobi Hiruzen glanced at Jiraiya and said, "In order to get you back, I tied up their Four Tails Jinchuriki." "What?" Jiraiya was shocked. "Old man, are you crazy? Do you want to start a war to get me back?" Seeing that Jiraiya believed it, Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't help rubbing his brows and then said helplessly, "It was Minato and the others who accidentally got the information about the Iwagakure while searching for you and found out." After learning the whole story from Sarutobi Hiruzen, Jiraiya complained to Minato. "Minato, you are so stupid. Your disciple doesn't understand. Don't you know me? The old man that the Iwagakure was talking about is definitely not me. I go to bathhouses and izakayas to get inspiration. I'm definitely not as romantic as a Four Tails Jinchuriki." Minato looked at his teacher silently, without refuting, but also without agreeing. Kakashi's filter for the Sannin was broken again and again. He couldn't help but ask Chigga, "Master Jiraiya is so shameless. Is he really Minato's teacher?" "Well, he's a pervert. You can't be one if you don't have a thick skin. You'll get used to it." Chigga replied, "Little boy, who are you? It sounds like you know me very well." Jiraiya also heard Chigga's words and leaned down to look at Chigga. Chigga and Jiraiya looked straight at each other, thinking about what to say and collecting Jiraiya's negative emotions. Compared to Tsunade, Chigga was not worried at all about what would happen if he offended Jiraiya. After all, he still remembered what Kushina said when she wanted to take him as a disciple. Chapter 93 Evil Eyes. Kushina once told Chigga that in the entire Konohagakure, the person Chigga least needs to fear is Jiraiya. Chigga also trusts her teacher very much. After thinking for a while, Chiga chuckled and said, I should be someone you can't afford to offend. Jiraiya raised his eyebrows when he heard this. Has he not been back to the village for too long? He was actually mocked by a little kid. Negative emotions from Jiraiya. Emotional value plus 10. The first time you get negative emotions from Jiraiya, you will be rewarded with the natural energy absorption skill. Chiga was immediately delighted. Sure enough, the rewards from the 3 ninjas are all good things. Natural energy. This thing can be combined with your own chakra to create fairy chakra. Sage mode. Chiga has wanted this for a long time. All of a sudden, Chiga's eyes looking at Jiraiya became much softer. Huh. Old man, is the education in ninja schools so bad now? Jiraiya rolled up his sleeves and wanted to teach Chiga a lesson. Don't. Minato immediately stopped him when he saw this. Jiraiya was slightly stunned. Did he enter the wrong village? With such a noble status as one of the 3 ninjas, he couldn't even afford to offend a kid. Minato continued, Chiga is Kushina's disciple. Minato, in order to protect his teacher's face, quickly revealed Chiga's identity. Sarutobi Hiruzen on the side was different. A disappointed expression appeared on his face while he was watching the show. He originally wanted to see the scene where Jiraiya beat Chiga and was chased by Kushina. After hearing that Chiga was Kushina's disciple, Jiraiya was shocked. Then he said to Chiga very seriously, I'm sorry, I spoke a little loudly just now. This time, it was Chiga's turn to be stunned. Is Kushina so powerful? Minato whispered in Chiga's ear, normal. I don't know what kind of handle Jiraiya has in Kushina's hand. Anyway, Jiraiya is like a mouse seeing a cat to Kushina. Chiga suddenly realized what was going on. No wonder Kushina could say it so confidently at the beginning. It seems that this handle is not small. Well, since Jiraiya is back, you two haven't seen each other for a long time. Let's go down and reminisce about the past. I still have a lot of things to deal with. Sarutobi Hiruzen gave Minato a look, meaning that he hoped Minato would persuade Jiraiya not to fly around. Minato nodded calmly. He didn't want his teacher to go out again. After all, the ninja world seems peaceful, but no one knows whether there will be an accident like the foretells Jinchuriki Laozi. Who knows, the next time Jiraiya wakes up, he will appear in that Sachikage's office. Coming out of the Hokage's office, it is now close to noon. Everyone discussed and decided to go for barbecue. Jiraiya will treat them. Jiraiya did not object, but just looked around curiously, frowning and said, what's going on? I haven't been back to the village for more than half a year. Why do I feel so unfamiliar? Following Jiraiya's gaze, everyone also saw the root ninja patrolling back and forth on the eaves, and in a hurry. Maybe Danzō has an important mission. Minato was also confused about the actions of the root ninja. Only Chiga knew the reason. Shimura Danzō is really a guy who holds grudges. He still receives negative emotions from Shimura Danzō from time to time. The 4 of them came to a barbecue restaurant. Jiraiya ate barbecue while talking about his recent situation in the past 6 months. Haha, Minato, you would never have thought that in the past 6 months, I have traveled all over the country of soup and finally completed a masterpiece. It will definitely be popular in the ninja world. As my disciple, you can have a look. Well, although you 2 little kids are young, this book is still a good enlightenment reading for you. As he said, Jiraiya took out 3 books and handed them to Chiga and the other 2. The book was pink with a naked girl on it. When Minato heard this, his eyes lit up and he was about to take it, but when he saw Chiga was still there, he suddenly became serious. Sorry, Jiraiya, I'm a serious person and I won't read this kind of book. Ah, you were not like this before. Jiraiya was stunned. This time he thought that Chiga, Kushina's disciple, was still here. It seems that this kid is Kushina's supervisor. Kushina is too strict with you. In fact, you should also show some manliness sometimes, otherwise your future will be miserable. Jiraiya felt sorry for her misfortune and angry at her for not fighting. He also knew that his disciple had bronchitis, but he was afraid of even Kushina's disciples. This was too outrageous. Minato smiled slightly, saying that he was just enjoying the pleasure of being bound by Kushina. You, a single dog, will not understand. Jiraiya suddenly felt that he was stabbed in the chest. Thinking that he hadn't even held Tsunade's hand yet, Jiraiya immediately lost interest in preaching. Then he looked at Chiga and Kakashi, hoping to get praise for his book from them. However, Chiga and Kakashi just glanced at it casually and threw it aside. Jiraiya was slightly stunned. This was the love story he had worked so hard to write. Could it be that even a little kid couldn't stand reading this? Do I really have the talent to write books? Looking at Jiraiya, who was doubting his life, Minato remembered the task that Sarutobi Hiruzen had explained with his eyes and asked, "Teacher Jiraiya, you will not go out to collect materials for a short time after you come back this time, right?" That's hard to say. Jiraiya hesitated. There were some things he didn't know whether he should tell Minato. "Teacher Jiraiya, there are actually hot springs in Konoha village. Why don't you collect materials in your own village?" Minato asked puzzledly. "Okay, Minato, don't say it." However, after hearing this, Jiraiya felt even more that he couldn't stay. In response to this, Chiga suddenly had an idea and understood. He suddenly said, "Jiraiya-sama, you don't want others to spy on you, right?" "Chiga, don't talk nonsense." Minato rejected it without hesitation. "Teacher Jiraiya's bush squatting technique is at the maximum level. How could someone spy on you? Unless it's someone like the third Hokage." At this point, Minato seemed to be suddenly awakened and turned his head to look at Jiraiya in astonishment. Jiraiya sighed, and seeing that Minato had discovered something, he could only say, "About a year ago, the old man developed a very unsolvable ninjutsu. I also discovered it, based on my years of peeping experience. Every time you collect materials in Konoha village, there is always a pair of evil eyes staring at you behind you. I've lost all my inspiration." Chapter 94 Hatake Tsukumo. After hearing Jiraiya's words, Minato fell silent. He had been wondering how the third Hokage found out that he was secretly dating Kushina during Kushina's confinement. Now after Jiraiya's explanation, he understood. Telescope technique. No one wants to be watched by a pair of eyes while playing and joking in the village. Well, you don't have to worry too much. Although the old man has little moral integrity, he won't always use the telescope technique to peek at you. Moreover, the premise of casting this technique is that the caster must be familiar with your chakra. You don't have much contact with the old man, so he shouldn't be able to use this technique on you." Seeing that the three were a little worried, Jiraiya comforted them. He himself had no choice, as he had been following the third Hokage since he was a child. The third Hokage should not be too familiar with him, and he has the same hobbies as him. The two often make eye contact in the women's bathhouse. Hearing this, Chiga and the other two breathed a sigh of relief. Chiga looked at Jiraiya curiously and asked, "Master Jiraiya, have you ever thought of learning this ninjutsu? After all, this ninjutsu is too perfect for you." "TSK, this soulless verism method, I don't bother to do that. Besides, collecting materials for such a great cause still requires some stimulation to inspire inspiration." Jiraiya smiled slightly, indicating that he was just enjoying the process of being caught. "How can a kid like you who hasn't even grown all his hair understand it?" Exclamation mark. Chiga rolled his eyes. He is indeed a pervert. The four of them were full and ready to leave here, but just as they walked out of the barbecue restaurant, a team of ninjas came towards them. A team of 4. The leading ninja was wearing Konoha ninja clothes, with long silver white hair and a ponytail. "Father?" Kakashi was stunned, and then shouted in surprise. The man in front of him was Hatake Tsukumo. Although Hatake Tsukumo didn't seem to have any external injuries at the moment, his face was exhausted, and his eyes looked a little dim. Seeing that it was his son, Hatake Tsukumo forced a smile and then said, "Kakashi, you go back first, I'll come to you later." "Senior Tsukumo, what are you doing?" Jiraiya asked solemnly. He was also very surprised. As a Sanin, he also knew Hatake Tsukumo's strength. It seems that the mission is not easy to make Hatake Tsukumo like this. And looking at the four people's unsmiling expressions, the mission failed. "Sorry, the mission requires confidentiality." Hatake Tsukumo shook his head and did not reveal any information about the mission. A ninja behind Hatake Tsukumo couldn't help but say, "Captain Tsukumo, if it weren't for me." "Okay, don't say any more." Hatake Tsukumo interrupted his teammates and then said to the other two teammates, "You take him to the hospital first. I will go to find the third Hokage by myself." After that, he left alone. Seeing this, everyone didn't know what to say, but just watched Hatake Tsukumo walk by silently. Looking at Hatake Tsukumo's lonely figure, it was obvious that he was ready to bear the consequences of the mission failure alone. Seeing this, Chiga's eyes also condensed. If it weren't for Hatake Tsukumo appearing here today, he would have almost forgotten about Hatake Tsukumo's suicide. Thinking of this, he wanted to remind Kakashi. At this time, Minato was already comforting Kakashi. He patted Kakashi's shoulder and comforted him. "Don't worry, Kakashi, it's common for ninja missions to fail. The third Hokage will not blame you, and your father will not be punished." Seeing this, Jiraiya also nodded and agreed. "Well, Kakashi, don't worry, even if the old man wants to blame you, I will come forward to plead for you." Facing Minato and Jiraiya's expressions without any worries, Chiga sighed helplessly. No one would have thought that such a mission would cause Konoha to lose a cage-level ninja. "Kakashi, I think the failure of this mission is a big blow to your father. You should pay more attention to him when you go back," Chiga reminded. Kakashi nodded and kept Chiga's words in his heart. He had never seen his father like this before. After thinking for a while, Chiga continued, "By the way, Kakashi, I remember there is a small forest in your backyard, right?" Huh? Kakashi looked at Chiga in confusion. "It's like this, my crow colony has grown very fast with the efforts of Crow Feather, and that small forest can't accommodate them anymore. So I want to send a group of them to live in your backyard for a few days, and bring them back when I find a new territory." Chiga explained that to be on the safe side, he thought it would be better to let the crows watch over it himself. "Okay." Kakashi nodded in agreement without thinking much. 3 days later, the Land of Earth did not publicize the fact that Konoha robbed their four-tails Jinchuriki in the ninja world. The third Tsuchikage also had to save face. With the presence of 5 blasting teams and 15 sealed ninjas, the four-tails Jinchuriki was kidnapped by 3 people from Konoha. If such a shameful thing were publicized, it would easily affect his prestige in the ninja world. But things can't just end like this. After knowing that his own four-tailed Jinchuriki was in Konoha village, the third generation Tsuchikage gathered 5,000 rock ninjas as soon as possible. They marched towards Konoha from the 2 directions of the Rain Country and the Grass Country. The sudden big move of the Land of Earth made other big countries nervous all of a sudden, and they adjusted their troop deployments to deal with emergencies. The whole ninja world was suddenly full of enemies. After preparing for the invasion of other countries, the other 3 countries became spectators, ready to watch the fierce battle between the Land of Earth and the Land of Fire, and waited for an opportunity to join the war at any time. However, the imagined war did not happen. After the Land of Earth marched to the halfway point between the Land of Rain and the Land of Grass, it suddenly stepped on the brakes and stopped. The 3 big countries were confused. It was clear that they could fight one step further, so why did they suddenly wither? Could it be that the third generation Tsuchikage was not good at that? Think about it. For a person who has half a foot in the coffin, it is considered to be old and strong to be able to be fierce. The third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen was very clear about the problem. This was a warning from the third Tsuchikage. If the four-tailed Jinchuriki is not returned to them, then war will be launched. In this regard, Sarutobi Hiruzen certainly had no idea of a big war, but it was not his style to be threatened to return it. In order to stabilize the third Tsuchikage, Sarutobi Hiruzen wrote a letter by hand. The general meaning of the letter was that when the Konoha ninjas were on a mission in the Land of Hot Springs, they accidentally discovered a wild four-tailed Jinchuriki. Based on the basic principle that the four-tailed Jinchuriki is the Land of Earth, the third Hokage invited the third Tsuchikage to come to the Konoha ninja village to bring the four-tailed Jinchuriki back. Of course, before taking it back, the expenses of the four-tailed Jinchuriki's food, drink and playing Konoha during this period will be reimbursed. As for how much, it depends entirely on how I feel that day. Chapter 95. That's my dad. Chiga didn't pay attention to the situation in the ninja world. Most of his energy was focused on Hatake Tsukumo. He used crows to monitor Hatake Tsukumo's movements at all times. During these 3 days, Hatake Tsukumo didn't leave his house and stayed in his room. In the village, there were some rumors about Hatake Tsukumo's behavior of giving up the mission to save his companions. Have you heard that Lord Tsukumo gave up the mission to save his companions? I heard that Lord Tsukumo is confused. Ninjas should focus on missions. Yes, I originally supported Lord Tsukumo to become the next Hokage, but now it seems. Hey, protecting your companions from harm, isn't this the embodiment of Lord Tsukumo's will of fire? There are rumors that blame Hatake Tsukumo, and there are also those that support it. Of course, these rumors are only spread among Konoha's jonin. Chiga also learned about it through Minato. Even Minato didn't understand the specific content of the mission, and it seems that the confidentiality level is very high. It is said that it caused heavy losses to the Land of Fire. Note that it is the Land of Fire. That is to say, the mission that Hatake Tsukumo was carrying out was commissioned by the Land of Fire, not the village. These are different concepts. It is equivalent to the employer paying you to do something, but you are not dedicated, and mess up the employer's business. The Land of Fire certainly needs to ask Konoha for an explanation. As for the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, under pressure from the Land of Fire, he did not dare to say openly that Hatake Tsukumo was right to give up the mission to save his companions. After all, the Konoha Ninja Village still needs ninjas to complete commissions to earn money. And if you openly agree with Hatake Tsukumo's approach, it means that the ninjas of Konoha do not take the employer's commission seriously enough. It will seriously affect the number of commissions from Konoha Village. This is also the main reason why Sarutobi Hiruzen did not dare to say this to his face. At the riverside, Kyan asked Kakashi, who was practicing, "Kakashi, how is your father? How is his mentality?" "No, Kyan, you have asked me about my father's condition no less than 10 times in the past 3 days. What do you want to do?" "That's my father. My father," Kakashi said angrily, his face as black as the bottom of a pot. Breakdown from Hatake Kakashi, emotional value plus 100. As Hatake Tsukumo's biological son, he would worry about his father's condition every day. But it's not as bad as Kyan, asking about his father's well-being every 2 or 3 days. Others who don't know would think that Kyan is his father's biological son, and he is an adopted son. It's outrageous. Kyan smiled awkwardly. "Well, I'm just asking. Don't be so excited. I'm glad your father is okay. I'm glad he's okay." Another 3 days. Things began to change. The companion who was rescued by Hatake Tsukumo changed his opinion and began to blame Hatake Tsukumo, thinking that ninjas should complete the mission first and should not save him. For a time, because of this ninja's idea, most of the jonins accused Hatake Tsukumo. After observing for a few days, Chiga understood that there was no conspiracy. It was just that Shimura Danzō had some tricks and wanted to take this opportunity to completely ruin Hatake Tsukumo's reputation and make it impossible for him to run for the position of Hokage. The ninja who was saved by Hatake Tsukumo changed his statement because of Shimura Danzō's influence. So Chiga felt that it was time to talk to Hatake Tsukumo in person. In fact, Hatake Tsukumo's life and death can no longer affect the status of their Uchiha clan in the village. However, out of friendship with Kakashi and to allow the village to have more high-end combat power to deal with the Third Ninja World War, Chiga was still prepared to do his best. Came to the home of the Hatake clan. Kakashi happened to be away from home, and he was probably practicing alone again. In the past few days, Minato had been hanging out with Jiraiya because he wanted to develop his new ninjutsu. Chiga didn't know whether the two were really developing new ninjutsu or secretly watching the young lady bathing by the river. Chiga blew a whistle, and a crow flew out from the backyard of the Hatake clan. It came to Chiga's side and called CAA. Chiga listened to the general idea and then pushed the door and entered Hatake Tsukumo's room. At this moment, Hatake Tsukumo was kneeling on the ground with a whetstone in front of him, and his whole body was like a machine, sharpening the white fang short sword back and forth. After hearing someone coming in, Hatake Tsukumo stopped his movements and looked up at Chiga. There was no emotion in his eyes. Seeing this, Chiga felt that he came at the right time. It seemed that Hatake Tsukumo was preparing to take the last care of his beloved sword, and then he would open his stomach to apologize. "So those crows are yours? You seem to know what I want to do," Hatake Tsukumo said calmly after seeing that the person who came in was Chiga. Lord Tsukumo, do you regret the decision you made? No regrets. Hatake Tsukumo shook his head. That's all. Chiga asked in confusion. Do you still care about those rumors, Lord Tsukumo? Young man, leave. Hatake Tsukumo sighed. Of course, he didn't care about the rumors outside. But the failure of the mission was indeed his responsibility, and he should take responsibility for this responsibility. Chiga didn't think it would be so easy to persuade Hatake Tsukumo. After thinking about it, Chiga eased the atmosphere and chuckled. Who would have thought that the famous Konoha White Fang in the ninja world actually thought of himself as a samurai in his heart. And he also wanted to use samurai methods to eliminate the mistakes he made. I think if this news gets out, those enemies who were killed by Lord Tsukumo, and whose graves are covered with grass 3 meters high will be so angry, that they will come back to life. Hatake Tsukumo pulled the corner of his mouth and said helplessly, young man, your name is Uchiha Chiga, right? I think you came to persuade me for the sake of your family? I'm afraid that won't work out as you wish. Although the Konoha high-level officials won't punish me, there's no possibility for me to advance further in my position. Sorry, even if I'm alive, it won't help your Uchiha clan at all. You're wrong, I'm here for only one thing. Chiga looked into Hatake Tsukumo's eyes and said word by word, don't let a child lose his father. Kakashi Hatake Tsukumo muttered to himself, and a hint of color flashed in his calm eyes. Seeing this, Chiga knew that Hatake Tsukumo, who was seeking death, had already had hope of living. Senior Tsukumo, you don't want Kakashi to be trapped in darkness for the rest of his life, do you? As he spoke, Chiga had already revealed his Sharingan. At this moment, Hatake Tsukumo didn't resist at all, but just fell into the illusion woven by Chiga. I wanted to try to update 3 times, but unfortunately I failed. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96, Chunin Exam, 2 in 1. In the illusion, Hatake Tsukumo saw Kakashi being silent in front of his corpse because of his suicide. Then tears flowed from his eyes, and finally he hugged his corpse and cried. Hatake Tsukumo only felt his heart twitch suddenly. Yes, he didn't seem to have thought how much harm his death would bring to Kakashi. The scene flowed, and Kakashi, who experienced the pain of losing his father, fell into darkness. He also entered the route and became a ninja who lived only for the mission. That was not a person at all, but a tool. Moreover, the evil Chiga also let Hatake Tsukumo see Kakashi's way of comfort. Every late at night, the lonely Kakashi would take out the little yellow book that Chiga gave him to avoid the killing he committed during the day. The next scene was not what he, as a father, should see. Hatake Tsukumo quickly broke free from Chiga's illusion. So, the book hidden under Kakashi's bed was sent to you? Hatake Tsukumo narrowed his eyes slightly, and his eyes looking at Chiga became sharp. Negative emotions from Hatake Tsukumo, emotion value plus 50. The first time you get Hatake Tsukumo's emotion value, you will be rewarded with plus 5000 lightning attribute experience. Chiga was shocked, and felt a murderous intent coming over him. No way, this guy wouldn't be planning to take someone with him before he dies. Chiga wanted to slap himself. Why didn't he just edit the scene of Kakashi falling into darkness in the anime for Hatake Tsukumo to watch? Why did he have to add some scenes that are not suitable for children? Chiga's face condensed, and he said seriously, Lord Tsukumo, what book are you talking about? How come I don't know? Does Kakashi like reading books very much? He denied it 3 times in a row, and he must not admit it, otherwise he will be finished. Hatake Tsukumo didn't say anything, but just stared at Chiga. Seeing this, Chiga could only avoid Hatake Tsukumo's increasingly sharp eyes and said earnestly, Lord Tsukumo, you are relieved, now that you leave, but old Chihayo still remembers what you did in the Sand Ninja. You can't forget that old Chihayo made trouble for Kakashi some time ago, right? This is just the beginning. If they knew you were dead, maybe they would assassinate Kakashi more frequently. Hatake Tsukumo shook his head and said, I'm not worried about this. Kakashi will have to experience these assassinations sooner or later, and this will speed up his growth. Hearing this, Chiga asked helplessly. Lord Tsukumo, I've shown you so much and found so many reasons. Do you still insist on using death to wash away the losses you have caused to the Fire Country? Hatake Tsukumo was surprised and said, who said I want to commit suicide now? I knew it, Lord Tsukumo, you won't leave the young Kakashi alone. Chiga said happily. Hatake Tsukumo had a blank expression on his face and said bluntly, yes, with a friend like you, I really can't rest assured about Kakashi. Chiga, if you didn't say that, we could still chat. Seeing that Hatake Tsukumo had already confirmed that he was the one who sent the pornographic book, Chiga could only smile awkwardly. Well, I also wanted Kakashi to learn more knowledge. Come to think of it, this knowledge point was also used in the last mission. The part about the threesome? Hatake Tsukumo asked. Yeah, that's it. Chiga was startled and looked at Hatake Tsukumo with shocked eyes. I really didn't expect that you, a white-haired and squinting Hatake Tsukumo, would be so familiar with the plot of that book. Sure enough, how serious can a samurai family be that can treat the unique technique of the 1,000 years of killing as a family heirloom and personally demonstrate and teach it to their son? It turns out that we are all in the same boat. Why didn't you say it earlier? Chiga relaxed at once and said, Lord Tsukumo, you. No need to call me so politely. Hatake Tsukumo interrupted Chiga with a smile before he finished speaking. If you can call me Uncle Tsukumo. Lord Tsukumo, if you act like this, you will be beaten by the Uchiha clan. This dishonest guy. Not only did he secretly read pornographic books, but he even wanted to take advantage of the Uchiha clan. You know, because Chiga is increasingly valued by the upper echelons of the Uchiha clan, his status as the younger uncle of the Uchiha clan is almost recognized. Which Uchiha clan member doesn't call Chiga little uncle affectionately when they meet? If Chiga calls Hatake Tsukumo uncle, what will the Uchiha clan members call him? Uncle? You Uchiha clan members will probably be happy to see you call me uncle. Hatake Tsukumo said with a hint of tentativeness. Seeing this, Chiga also knew that Hatake Tsukumo was still suspicious, that he had ulterior motives. After thinking for a while, Chiga explained, Uncle Tsukumo, don't doubt whether my purpose is impure. As I said before, I really just don't want to see Kakashi fall into darkness. Besides, Uncle Tsukumo, our Uchiha clan has not bet on you. Oh. Hearing this, Hatake Tsukumo raised his eyebrows. The position of Hokage is basically inherited in the Hokage line, and Hatake Tsukumo is not among them. But even so, Hatake Tsukumo is very popular in Konoha village to become the 4th generation Hokage. It's not that Hatake Tsukumo is bragging. He dare not say that he will definitely become Hokage, but it is only a matter of time to become an advisor or assistant to Hokage. Even though he must enter the top level of Konoha, the Uchiha clan didn't bet on him. The Uchiha clan has always wanted to have a say in the top level. Hatake Tsukumo also became a little curious and asked, excuse me, who do you Uchiha clan like more? Chiga smiled and asked back, isn't it because Uncle Tsukumo likes Minato that he made Kakashi his disciple? Your clan has a good eye. Hatake Tsukumo heard this and immediately showed an approving look. Outsiders say that he has the ability to see through a person's potential. Although the fact is a bit exaggerated, his eye for people is indeed very accurate. Minato is a gentle and sunny person. His words and deeds are very contagious, which makes people feel close to him. He is also strong, has a good personality, looks decent, and loves the village. Most importantly, Minato is a pure Hokage. With the end of this topic, the two did not talk much. After all, the age difference between the two is there, and there is nothing in common. Hatake Tsukumo has been depressed for so many days, and it is time to cheer up and think about how to give an explanation to the Fire Country if he does not commit suicide to apologize. So Chiga didn't bother too much. After walking out of the Hatake family, Chiga looked up at the bright sunshine. He smiled brightly. I actually learned how to talk back. In fact, Hatake Tsukumo's suicide was just an impulse caused by guilt. And now Chiga has given Hatake Tsukumo a reason to live for Kakashi. Everyone has a time to go to extremes, but as long as you think about it afterwards, or find someone to talk to, you can get out of it soon. Of course, if you haven't figured it out yet, then you really go. At this time, Kakashi, who seemed to have a premonition, also returned home. Facing Chiga standing at the door of his house, Kakashi was confused. Why did you come to my house? Kakashi asked, puzzled. I came to find my crows, Chiga replied. With Chiga's whistle, more than a dozen crows suddenly flew out and circled over Chiga. Why don't you leave a few for me? Kakashi looked up. A trace of desire appeared in his eyes. I found that the crows you raised are quite sensible, and they can understand human language, which is very good as an aerial reconnaissance tool. Although these crows only stayed in his house for a few days, Kakashi also found the benefits of these crows, and they can also cooperate in performing illusions. Kakashi, you wish. Kion refused without hesitation. I saved your father, and you are greedy for my crows? Exclamation mark. Although it is not considered as repaying kindness with enmity, it is not much better. Bah. Kakashi, you are cheap. Kion left the Hatake clan angrily. As Kion left, Hatake Tsukumo also came out after hearing that his son had returned. He looked at Kion's back and asked Kakashi, you and Kion get along well? Kakashi was startled and then shouted happily, Father, you. He knew that his father had been under great pressure these days. In the past few days, his father had been locking him in the room and had little communication with him. He was also very worried. Now he actually saw that his father's face was no longer filled with guilt. Yeah. Facing his father's question, Kakashi nodded heavily and said, Chiga is the goal I will pursue in my life. Hatake Tsukumo heard this and nodded. The boy also felt that his future was limitless. At this time, Hatake Tsukumo touched Kakashi's little head and chuckled. Some time ago, because of too many tasks, I neglected your education. Now, I think I have a lot of time to give you a correct outlook on life. Also, Kakashi, didn't you say that Chiga is the goal you are pursuing? I decided to teach you the secret technique of my clan, the Millennium Kill, today. Looking at his father's kind smile, and then looking at the white teeth in his father's hand, the cold light was shining. Kakashi's chrysanthemums tightened, and he felt a chill from his chrysanthemums to the top of his head. Damn Uchiha Chiga, he didn't come here just to tell his father about his secret reading of pornographic books, did he? With Hatake Tsukumo's voluntary demotion to the Enbu as a detachment leader, Danzō was also satisfied with the matter, and those rumors disappeared overnight. As for the anger of the Land of Fire, the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen had to appease it. At the end of Konoha 44, the Konoha ninja village of the Land of Fire suddenly announced that it would jointly host this Chunin exam with the rock ninja village of the Land of Earth, and invited the third Tsuchikage to come to Konoha to discuss the exam items. As an old rival, the third Tsuchikage actually agreed readily, and this move made the three major countries that were originally watching the show fall into confusion. No, you were all going to fight before, but now you have become a good brother again. The brains of the three countries' high-level officials are almost numb, and they can't figure out what the Land of Earth and the Land of Fire want to do. The Chunin exam is very interesting, and those who have read the original work know it. Whether or not one can be promoted from a genin to a Chunin depends not on the ranking of strength, but on comprehensive ability. Chunin is a grassroots commander on the battlefield. Compared with combat effectiveness, they need a calm mind and excellent battle situation analysis and judgment ability, which are the key to becoming a Chunin. However, the real purpose of the Chunin exam is actually for show. If such a strict examination system is really followed, how can those who don't use their brains become Chunin? Each country needs an intuitive assessment to let the daimyos of each country in the ninja world see the strength of their ninja village and the talents. Only in this way can they get better funding. Kion didn't care about the decision made by the village. After all, he graduated from the ninja school less than half a year ago, and there was no need to take the Chunin exam at this time. Moreover, the Land of Earth's participation in the Chunin exam is definitely not a good intention, especially since he is also one of the ninjas who brought back the Four Tails Jinchuriki. I think the Rock Ninja would be happy to kill him in the Chunin exam. Kion didn't need to cause trouble for himself for a Chunin quota. Moreover, the guiding Jonin Kushina who could sign up for him is still in solitary confinement, and it is questionable whether she knows about the Chunin exam. So if he has time, he might as well think about how to absorb natural energy so that he can enter the Sage mode. However, things did not go as Chiga wished. Beside the creek where Chiga often practiced, a ninja dressed as an Enbu appeared in front of Chiga. Uchiha, the third Hokage wants to see you and asks you to go to the Hokage's office immediately. Faced with the sudden appearance of the Anbu, Chiga was slightly stunned and then complained, "Uncle Tsukumo, I can still tell who you are with your outfit like this?" Arriving at the Hokage building, Chiga saw a familiar figure in front of him. Before he entered the Hokage's office, Chiga shouted in surprise, "Teacher Kushina? Haha, you didn't expect that I would be out again." Kushina saw Chiga coming and also showed a bright smile. She took a few steps forward and pinched Chiga's little face, complaining, "Come to think of it, you haven't come to see me for several days. Do you still have me as your teacher in your heart?" And the same goes for Minato. He didn't even know that I was released because of the development of new ninjutsu. Chiga rolled her eyes at Kushina and said unhappily, "Teacher Kushina, you are in seclusion like a joke. Who would have known that you were out?" Kushina also giggled and said, "You are also the reason why I can come out this time." Chiga was stunned, then blurted out, "Teacher Kushina, you are not going to sign me up for the Chunin exam, are you?" "Well, you guessed it right, I did sign you up," Kushina said. "Well, actually, I don't really want to leave the Genin organization." "What nonsense are you talking about? The level of a ninja is linked to the rewards of the mission. The higher your level, the more rewards you get," Kushina said. Chapter 97 Assassination Mission. At this point, although Chiga was still a little reluctant about taking part in the Chunin exam, since Kushina Sensei had already registered for him, he could only acquiesce. "By the way, Kushina Sensei, are you able to end your confinement this time just to come out and register for the Chunin exam for me?" Chiga asked. "Of course not. Helping you to register for the Chunin exam is just a side job." Kushina shook her head and sighed, because there are many ninjas from other countries in this Chunin exam. The sealing techniques and barriers of the entire village need to be reinforced again. Your teacher will be busy next. Not to mention Kushina's identity as the Ninetales Jinchuriki. As a sealing ninja, she is also very important in Konoha. She is not only responsible for the sealing ninjutsu in the village, but also for the layout and maintenance of barriers in important places in the village. And this time, the confinement can be ended, because the Chunin exam is imminent. A large number of foreign ninjas will come to Konoha village, and Konoha village needs to patrol and check whether there are any problems with the seals and barriers in various places. Prevent people with ulterior motives from breaking in. "Are you the only one?" Chiga asked. There were also a lot of sealed ninjas in Konoha village. "Don't mention it. Those idiots in the sealing class have to learn the two-element seal for a year. Working with them is simply enough to make me angry," Kushina complained, and then said to Chiga earnestly, "So, you should also learn more sealing techniques and share the burden with the teacher." "Point, I'll try my best," Chiga perfunctorily said. That reinforcing the seals and barriers of the entire village was a very tedious task. Chiga didn't want to experience this kind of pain. By the way, in addition to the Land of Earth, the Land of Wind will also participate in this Chunin exam. Kushina told Chiga what she heard in the Hokage's office. "Why is there another one added?" "The Land of Earth joined because of the Four Tails Jinchuriki, but the Land of Wind suddenly joined. Is there any hidden reason?" Chiga frowned when she heard this. Because of the memory of her previous life, Chiga was a little worried about the sudden joining of the Land of Wind. "I always feel that this country will do something. Although Orochimaru is still in the village, this Chunin exam will not only involve the Wind Country, but also the Earth Country. The Earth Country can still join forces with the Wind Country to play a plan to collapse Konoha." But soon Chiga laughed. Konoha at this moment is not the Konoha of that period. Not to mention Sarutobi Hiruzen, who is still at his peak. Even the three ninjas are still in the village, plus Hatake Tsukumo, who is not dead. The two major countries united are really not enough. "Don't worry about this. The old man of the third generation has someone investigate it. And do you remember the information you and Minato received when you went to the river country?" At this time, Kushina also explained the reason why the Wind Country joined. It has been said before that the new daimyo of the Wind Country has always wanted to reduce the funding of the Sand Village. So after suddenly hearing that the Earth Country and the Fire Country were going to jointly participate in the Chunin exam, the Sand Village also came to join in the fun. They hope to eliminate the daimyo's idea through their performance in the Chunin exam. After hearing the reason, Chiga understood, and the doubts in his heart immediately dissipated. But he was also very curious, why did the Kingdom of Wind think that they could show their strength in this Chunin exam? I think you already understand the reason, so be careful when you meet the ninjas from the Sand Village in the exam. They will especially target us, Kushina reminded. Although she didn't take Chiga on missions many times, but she was still very clear about Chiga's strength. It should be said that she knew very well that the strength Chiga showed at present was enough to pass the Chunin exam. Kushina and Chiga talked for so long that Sarutobi Hiruzen in the Hokage's office became impatient. He originally wanted to find Chiga to explain the reason and give a task, but he didn't expect that Kushina had said everything he should say. Sarutobi Hiruzen had to shout in the Hokage's office. Kushina, stop chatting. Your task is very heavy. If you don't go to work, you will go back to confinement. Kushina glared at Sarutobi Hiruzen with dissatisfaction, and then said, I know. I'll go now. I can't accompany you these days. Chiga, you have to work hard. Kushina said to Chiga at last, and then left. After saying goodbye to Kushina, Chiga also walked into the Hokage's office. Third generation Hokage, you are looking for me? Chiga asked. Just for the Chunin exam. Sarutobi Hiruzen would not call him alone. There must be a task for him. Maybe it is about the Chunin exam. Sarutobi Hiruzen did not say what it was first, but said, Chiga, with your strength and the level of the tasks you have completed, you can be promoted to Chunin without taking the exam. But this Chunin exam, I need you to participate and complete a task. As he said, Sarutobi Hiruzen had already handed the 3 documents in his hand to Chiga. Chiga reached out to take it, and what he saw was a photo of a boy, and the detailed information of this person was below. Maki, 10 years old, a genin from Sand Village. Mission experience, D. 20 times C. 15 times B. 2 times proficient in wind style ninjutsu. Ichigo, 10 years old, a genin from Rock Village. Mission experience, D. 32 times C. 21 times B. 5 times proficient in earth style ninjutsu. Carry, 12 years old, a genin from Rock Village. Mission experience, D. 51 times C. 33 times B. 11 times A. 2 times possessing Bakujutsu Kekui boundary. Chiga raised his eyebrows. These 3 documents were all personnel information, and they were also the personnel information for the Chunin exam this time. At this moment, Chiga understood why Sarutobi Hiruzen called him over. Sarutobi Hiruzen also lowered his head slightly, put his eyes under the bamboo hat, and said gloomily, these 3 are young men who have recently emerged in the land of earth and the land of wind. I need you to kill them in the Chunin exam. Since the land of wind and the land of earth both want to do something in the Chunin exam, Sarutobi Hiruzen also did as he wished, but the final result depends on each person's ability. Looking at the 3 documents in his hand, Kyan thought about it and nodded. I accept this task. Don't take it too seriously. You still have to focus on your own safety. Sarutobi Hiruzen said. He still values his own genius more. Even if this task cannot be completed, it will not affect Kyan's promotion to Chunin. By the way, because there are so many people in this Chunin exam, there is no single person participating. I found 2 temporary teammates for you. Sarutobi Hiruzen said, and 2 ninjas appeared at the door. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded and signaled them to come in. P.S. Please read, please vote for the monthly ticket. Chapter 98 Temporary Team. 3rd Hokage, Ebisu Genin reports. 3rd Hokage, Might Day Genin reports. After the 2 came in, they said to Sarutobi Hiruzen respectfully, well, you 2 will form a team with Uchiha Chiga to participate in this Chunin exam. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded, and then said, Uchiha Chiga will be the captain of the team. He needs to perform a secret mission in the Chunin exam this time. You 2 need to fully cooperate with them to complete it, and obey Chiga's command. Originally, Sarutobi Hiruzen was going to choose Might Day as the captain of the team. Although this person has not been promoted to Chunin for many years, he still has rich experience in participating in the Chunin exam. But considering that Chiga still has to perform assassination missions, they are afraid that the 2 will not cooperate because of the Chunin exam, so they decided to do so. Hearing this, the two looked at Chiga in surprise, and then said together, "Hello, I'm Ebisu, please teach me." "Hello, I'm Might Day, please teach me." Chiga nodded after hearing this, and then looked at Might Day with a strange look. Chiga didn't have much to say about Ebisu. He was also a pervert, someone who could be killed with seduction. But Might Day, Lord Hokage, you don't just want to assassinate a few geniuses, you want to kill all the foreign ninjas who participated in the Chunin exam. In fact, Sarutobi Hiruzen really didn't know how strong Might Day was. In Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes, Might Day was just an ordinary genin who couldn't use ninjutsu, and was still passionate in his middle age. Of course, he also knew that Might Day mastered the 8 gates, but he had never seen Might Day use it. Therefore, Sarutobi Hiruzen was not very clear about how strong Might Day was, but he thought it would not be very high. After all, the 8 gates was too difficult to practice. And because Might Day was a 10,000-year-old genin, there were few ninjas who teamed up with him to go on missions, which resulted in him only being able to take on some D-level missions in the village. There was no time to show off his 8 gates. Seeing Might Day, Chiga realized that he was not the strongest person in this Chunin exam. Ahem. Seeing Chiga staring at Might Day, Sarutobi Hiruzen could only cough awkwardly. He thought Chiga didn't want such a teammate, so he explained, "Might Day is an excellent genin. He has many years of experience in carrying out missions and Chunin exams. Chiga, you need to ask him for advice." "Third Hokage, I understand." Chiga nodded and smiled at Ebisu and Might Day. "Hello, nice to meet you. I'm Uchiha Chiga. Please give me your advice." The two of them had heard of Chiga, a genius boy. They thought that the genius boy of the Uchiha clan would be full of arrogance and would disdainfully refuse to team up with them. Unexpectedly, this rumored Uchiha genius boy is not only not arrogant, but also quite polite. The two of them also had a good impression of each other. "Uchiha Chiga, I remember that you are a student of the same ninja school as my son Kei. I never thought that one day I would have to take the Chunin exam with you. It's really hard to say, but this is the test of youth for me. I will work hard." Compared with Might Guy is more passionate. Chiga did not take the opportunity to use his poisonous tongue to gain negative emotions. Might Guy is a great ninja. He is strict with himself and insists on not hurting ninjas from the same village. Even in the Chunin exam, he did not show his 8 gates of ninja, which is why he has not been promoted to Chunin for many years. Chiga still respects such people. However, having said that, 2 of the 7 ninja swordsmen have been cut by him and Minato. Moreover, this is just the beginning. Who knows whether the remaining 5 swords will be cut by him under his influence. It is possible that Might Guy will never see the time when he implements his own ninja way in this life. At the end of the 44th year of Konoha, the Chunin exam jointly held by the 3 major countries of Fire Country, Earth Country and Wind Country officially began. As the host, the Konoha Ninja Village of the Fire Country jointly held the Chunin exam of this year with the Sand Village of the Wind Country and the Rock Village of the Earth Country. At the same time, there were more than 10 ninja villages from the surrounding small countries, including the Taki Village, the Takumi Village, the Kusagakure Village, and the Kusagakure Village. On the day of the exam, the Konoha exam hall was crowded with people. In addition to the 3 major countries, the number of ninjas from the small countries was small, but they were all elites of their own countries. Moreover, there were still conflicts between them. They even met on the battlefield before, and now they were in the same room, and didn't like anyone. Fortunately, they still knew that this was Konoha, and they were estranged from each other, and did not conflict. In the past few days, Kushina was busy like a spinning top, and finally reinforced the seals and barriers in the village before the Chunin exam. She came to the periphery of the examination room, and saw Chiga about to enter the examination room. She immediately shouted to Chiga, "Chiga, do your best." "I will, Teacher Kushina." Chiga turned around, and smiled brightly at Kushina, then walked into the examination room with Might Day and Ebisu. There are so many people. Chiga and the other 2 came a little later. The classroom was crowded with people and there was almost no place to stay. The number of people has exceeded 400. Our Konoha village ninjas only account for about 1/5 of them. The rest are ninjas from other countries. Ebisu glanced at the whole room and trembled a little to adjust the black glasses frame, feeling a little worried. Many of these ninjas are elite level genin at first glance. and the three of them, except Might Day, are genin who have graduated for less than a year. Not only do they have little experience, but their strength is not much better. Ebisu, don't worry, I will protect you. I didn't expect so many people to take part in the Chunin exam this time. My youth is about to start burning. Compared to Ebisu, Might Guy's mentality is much better. At this moment, his eyes are burning with fire, and he almost points at everyone in the audience and makes a bold statement. Fortunately, when people reach middle age, even if they are still second-year students, they will still be more restrained, so they can suppress their passion. After Chiga and the other two entered the examination room, the originally noisy examination room was briefly quiet. Is it him? Yes, Uchiha Chiga, the person that Lord Suchikage ordered to be killed. He looks like just a little kid. Don't be careless. According to the information, this guy is a person who participated in the battle between the Jonin. While they were observing Chiga, Chiga was also observing them. According to the information, Chiga soon found Maki of the Wind Country, Uchiha and Kari of the Rock Village. P.S. Please read, please vote. Chapter 99 Don't Kill the Crow. Chiga narrowed his eyes and scanned the three targets on the mission. Kari and Uchiha from the Land of Earth, and Maki from the Land of Wind. Among these three, Chiga only has a little impression of Maki. In the anime, in the junior high school entrance examination that destroyed Konoha, he was the leader of Gaara, Kankuro and Temerita Konoha. Unexpectedly, he would participate in this Chunin exam as a candidate. Hey, Maki, this guy has been staring at you. It seems that he has regarded you as a target. Do you want to teach this guy a lesson before the Chunin exam begins? Maki's teammates saw Chiga staring at Maki, and a cruel smile appeared on their faces. Their palms had subconsciously taken out kunai and played with them in their hands. Don't mess around. The opponent is Uchiha Chiga. Maki saw that his teammates didn't know who the opponent was, so he quickly reminded them. Uchiha Chiga, the guy who cut off Lord Scorpion's arm. Maki's teammates immediately stopped killing and began to trim their nails with the kunai in their hands, showing that they were harmless. You're kidding. How could a guy who could fight against the Red Sand Scorpion in their sand village and cut off Lord Scorpion's arm in the end, making Lord Scorpion return empty-handed, be a guy that these minions can't deal with? Seeing his teammates return to normal, Maki said solemnly, before coming here, Lord Scorpion had already told me to be careful of this guy. He is very powerful. I advise us to stay away from him if we meet him. At this point, Maki showed a strange expression and said, and Senior Scorpion also warned me not to kill crows if I don't want to die. Maki didn't understand this sentence yet. What does it mean, to not kill crows? Is it because killing crows is unlucky? The Red Sand Scorpion didn't elaborate. After all, it was this mistake that caused Chiga to explode and knock him down. Sometimes, he would think in the middle of the night, if he hadn't moved Chiga's crow at that time, would the result be different? And how could the Red Sand Scorpion say such a shameful thing? And he himself was a lonely person, and being able to tell Maki was already a great honor to Maki. Maki's teammates didn't care about the last sentence, but just asked. Then the third Kazakage told us to show our strength to the daimyo. How can this be accomplished? You are stupid. Can't you find someone else? Rock Ninja is also okay. They are not iron-headed kids, and they can't forget the warnings of their predecessors. But the purpose of coming to Konoha to participate in the Chunin exam cannot fail. I can't bully you, so can't I bully others? Under Maki's instructions, the ninjas of the Sand Village held back the idea of taking action against Chiga, but the intelligence about Chiga in the Rock Village was not so detailed. When they noticed that Chiga had been staring at their genius, they were furious. This Konoha ninja is too arrogant. Don't be impulsive. This is Konoha, and the other party is someone who can interfere in the fight between Jonin. Humph. Who knows if he just threw a kunai from 100 meters away? Well, it seems possible. Then let's play with him for a while before the Chunin exam begins. As they said that, the three rock ninjas had already started to act. They quickly shuttled among a group of candidates and were about to approach Chiga. Chiga also noticed this movement, retracted his gaze, and looked at the rock ninjas rushing towards him. He raised his hand to stop Might Day from blocking him. Chiga sighed helplessly in his heart. He obviously didn't make a bold statement like Naruto, so why did these guys still come forward to cause trouble for him? In this case, Chiga is not playing any tricks of pretending to be a pig and eating the tiger. Instead, showing his strength can prevent some blind candidates from bothering him in the subsequent exams. Kid, your eyes really annoy me. I decided to punch you in the eyes. Panda eyes look much cuter. At this time, the fastest Iwagakure had already arrived in front of Kyan. He showed a ferocious smile on his face and was ready to punch Kyan in the eyes. However, at this moment, Kyan's eyes were red and two Magatama were spinning in his eye sockets. In an instant, the Iwagakure fell into a stagnation, then turned around stiffly and punched the Iwagakure behind him. The Iwagakure behind him didn't understand what was going on and was punched by his companion and flew backwards. The ninjas of the land of Earth are big and strong, but their brains are really not bright. Has no one told them that I have Sharingan? Kyan also saw for the first time that someone dared to rush towards him and stared at his eyes. This move was too disrespectful to his Uchiha clan. Fortunately, there was still one Iwagakure who was quite smart. Seeing that his two teammates were attacking head-on, he attacked from the side of Chiga. He saw that his two teammates had fallen down, and his face was also full of anger. He took out a kunai and prepared to stab Chiga. Facing this close attack, Chiga stepped lightly, and the chakra in his body, under his precise control, spread all over his body, and then suddenly burst out. In an instant, the entire examination room was shrouded in an invisible pressure. The strong pressure mixed with a murderous intent constantly stimulated all the genin. The Iwagakure in front of Chiga felt it more deeply, and he felt that the blood in his body was about to solidify. The chakra full of substance seemed to make him fall into the deep sea, and the endless pressure made it difficult for him to even breathe, not to mention moving. Bang! At this time, the Iwagakure controlled by Chiga came over again, and took the opportunity to punch the Iwagakure in the face again. When the Iwagakure on the side fell to the ground, the controlled Iwagakure also rolled his eyes and fell to the ground. The noise in the examination room, which had been a little noisy, quieted down again. What? He solved the attack of 3 Iwagakure without even moving his position? Are the ninjas of Konoha so strong? Who is this guy? Is he really a genin? Why do I feel he is more terrifying than a jonin? Is this the strength of a ninja from a great country? Only a few of the genin knew Chiga, and many people had never even heard of Chiga's name. When they saw the Iwagakure take action just now, they were still sitting on the chairs with interest, wanting to see Chiga's joke, but they didn't expect that the 3 Iwagakure had fallen to the ground in the blink of an eye. Originally, I thought that the captain of this newly arrived team would be the middle-aged uncle, and the uncle gave the little brat the C position among the 3 people. But now it seems that this C position is well deserved. Chapter 100. The exam begins. In a room in the Hokage building, the Konoha ninjas, led by Sarutobi Hiruzen, gathered together and watched the screens in front of them. These screens were broadcasting everything that happened in the examination area. When Chiga used the chakra burst, a group of people suddenly let out a cry of surprise. Those 3 rock ninjas are no match at all. Chakra burst, isn't this a move that Lady Tsunade would use? Good guy, this kid's chakra volume is definitely at the level of a jonin. He is also quite skilled in using the Sharingan illusion. Facing the surprise of these jonin, Kushina said proudly, haha, this is my Uzumaki Kushina's disciple. Chiga has such a result after my careful training. Ignoring Kushina's boasting, Sarutobi Hiruzen turned his head and asked Tsunade, come and see, how is Chiga's chakra burst? Tsunade originally didn't want to participate in the show of the Chunin exam, but because many foreign ninjas came to the Konoha village. Firstly, it was because they really didn't have enough manpower. Not only did they need manpower, they also needed high-end combat power to keep the place in order. Secondly, they also wanted to bring Tsunade out for a walk so that no one would notice that Tsunade was different. Hearing this, Tsunade looked up at the screen. Although the chakra burst was a characteristic of their Senju clan, as long as the ninja's physical fitness was good and the chakra control was accurate, ordinary ninjas could also use it, but the effect was far less than that of the Senju clan. But Chiga's chakra burst was really no different from that of their Senju clan, and Tsunade was a little surprised. But she didn't say it, she just said with disdain, TSK, it's just so-so. This kid's chakra burst is barely acceptable. However, Chiga's behavior of offending all the candidates will make him targeted in the next exam. Kushina was so concerned that she didn't think of Chiga's purpose for doing this, and her eyes were still full of worry. Kushina, your disciple is much smarter than you. Tsunade quickly explained to Kushina, instead of hiding it, it is better to expose your strength and tell these candidates that you are not someone who can be bullied by just anyone. By doing this, in the next exam, those candidates with low strength will not bother this kid again. As she said this, Tsunade stared at Chiga back and forth, as if she had an inexplicable feeling. But speaking of it, I always feel that this kid is a little familiar. After Kushina was relieved, she smiled and said to Tsunade, of course, Sister Tsunade, did you forget that Chiga was by my side when you asked me to borrow money before? Oh, now that you mention it, I remember. Tsunade suddenly realized, and then suddenly demonstrated the real chakra burst to the people present. Tsunade broke through the floor with one foot, and the naked eye clearly saw the steaming blue air waves surrounding her, which was a sign of a violent chakra burst. After all, that day was also the day when she was cheated of all her money by Chiga in the casino. As soon as she thought about it, Tsunade felt an inexplicable anger in her heart. Sure enough, Chiga's chakra burst is not good enough. Seeing this, Kushina also muttered to herself, Tsunade, do you want to tear down the Hokage building? Sarutobi Hiruzen shouted angrily. Tsunade heard this and then extinguished her anger. After thinking about it, she always felt that it was not because she had seen Chiga at Kushina's house that she felt familiar. Tsunade frowned and asked Kushina, wait, Kushina, did you tell Chiga about my problem? What problem? No, he doesn't know at all. Kushina was shocked and said calmly. In fact, Kushina really knew who cheated Tsunade's money. After all, she saw Chiga's strangeness that day, and Chiga is really bold sometimes. But as Chiga's teacher, since the student made a mistake, the teacher must keep it secret. In the examination room, with the arrival of the invigilators, the conflict stopped. The three beaten rock ninjas stood up, and under the gaze of the invigilators, they dared not trouble Chiga again. Moreover, they also knew Chiga's strength, and it would be a disaster to trouble them again. They even hoped that Chiga would not hold a grudge against them, otherwise they would be unlucky in the next exam. And all the candidates present also understood that they should run as far as possible when they saw Chiga's team. This guy was definitely not someone they could deal with. The first exam of the Chunin exam is about to begin. You should sit down according to the names on your seats. The leading Jonin saw that there seemed to be a conflict in the examination room and shouted immediately. Hearing this, everyone also sat down obediently according to the rules. Chiga also found his seat, and then looked around, and found the seats of Might Day and Ebisu. He found that the two were far away from him. It seems that the purpose of this exam is not only to see the candidate's intelligence collection ability, but also to see whether the candidates can pass the collected intelligence to their teammates. After seeing everyone sitting down, the invigilator confirmed that the personnel were correct and began to distribute the test papers. Before we start, let me explain the rules of this exam. Listen carefully, I won't repeat myself a second time. No questions are allowed during the exam. I will regard any doubts as violations, and your team will be disqualified from the exam. Do you understand? None of the candidates answered, and they waited quietly for the invigilator to announce the exam rules. The invigilator nodded in satisfaction, and then said, this written test will last for a total of 1 hour, and there will be a total of 10 questions. A deduction system will be implemented. Your initial score is 10 points. Each wrong answer will deduct 1 point, and if you don't answer the question, you will also deduct 1 point. If you answer all the questions correctly, you will get 10 points, 5 points if you answer 5 questions incorrectly, and so on. Of course, if you answer all the questions incorrectly, you will get 0 points. Candidates who get 0 points will be disqualified, as will their teammates. This exam will be judged based on the total score of the 3-person team. The full score for a team is 30 points. According to the percentage, the higher score wins and the lower score is eliminated. I'll keep the elimination rate a secret for now, and reveal it at the end. If you don't want to drag down your teammates, answer the questions well. By the way, during the exam, if there is any cheating, or is judged to be cheating, 2 points will be deducted each time it is discovered. After 5 times, the score will be reset to 0 and the group will be directly disqualified. As he spoke, the invigilator pointed to the ninjas holding notebooks and pens around him, and said again, they will always observe and record the candidates they find cheating. Okay, I declare that the first exam of this Chunin exam will begin now. PS. Please read on, and give me a monthly vote. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.